Chapter 631. You have extraordinary potential, Bibidon said lightly. I think even the gods will choose you as an excellent successor. The meaning of Bibidon's words was actually very obvious. I have the qualifications to inherit this kind of power. I think highly of you. If you follow me, I can also take you to inherit the power of the gods. However, why must we inherit other people's things? Wang Feng suddenly asked. Hearing this, Bibidon was stunned. For a moment, she did not know how to answer. If we mortals can only inherit the power of the gods and surpass the limit of the world's power, what's the point? What's the point? Wang Feng continued. Also, how did the first generation of gods come to be? Were they born directly from the beginning of the world? Or did they come from cultivation? If they also came from cultivation, does it mean that we can also cultivate to become gods? After saying this, Bibidon suddenly froze. Because she did not know how to answer. Wang Wu's question had obviously exceeded Bibidon's own understanding. Yes, how did the first generation of gods come to be? Were they born automatically? Or did they come from cultivation? Even if they were born automatically, couldn't they cultivate to become gods by themselves? Looking at Bibidon's stunned expression, Wang Feng was also stunned. Cold sweat suddenly flowed out of his heart. He was just saying this casually. Looking at Bibidon's expression, could it be that she really wanted to cultivate to become a god? Create a god position by herself? Who is Bibidon? Wang Feng thought about the original work. If there was no Tang San, it would not be an exaggeration to say that she was the #1 genius in the original work. If she really wanted to create a god position by herself, it was not impossible. The premise was that someone had to open this window for her. I think I said something incredible? Wang Fengxin muttered. Bibidon might not know about cultivating to become a god. In her memory, there was only one possibility of inheriting the god's inheritance and becoming a god. Should I kill her? Wang Fengxin thought, however, I don't think I can kill her. Now, Bibidon already has the aura of a deity. I don't think I can defeat her. If I activate the Pangu axe, there might be a slight possibility. But I will definitely die. However, at this moment, Bibidon suddenly laughed. Her laughter was crisp and pleasant to the ears, giving off the feeling of a smile that could topple a city. However, Wang Feng felt his blood run cold. Wang Wu, you are truly a peerless genius. Bibidon sighed in admiration. Perhaps only someone like you, who doesn't know anything, would have such an idea. You know what? When I first heard this idea, I felt that it was ridiculous, childish, and ignorant. But when I think about it again, I feel that I'm ridiculous, ignorant, and childish. Wang Feng, I've never heard of anyone being able to cultivate to godhood on their own, and I've never thought that it was possible. Bibidon raised his head and looked at the top. But your words have opened my eyes to a whole new world. Perhaps this is really possible? Wang Feng, Wang Wu, you will go to the Heaven Do Empire next. Help me observe a person in secret, Shuechinghe. Bibidon suddenly looked at Wang Feng. You might not know what happened after that day, when you absorbed the 5-headed dragon. I also secretly sent another person to capture that human-shaped soul beast. But do you know what happened? Failed. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect Bibidon to even tell him about this. That's right. Bibidon nodded. The person I sent is one of my confidants. He is also a titled Douluo rank 96. But he has the ability to kill a rank 97 titled Dalu. I didn't use him during the soul hunting mission, but during this beast hunting mission, I secretly sent him to follow you all to prevent any mistakes. I'm worried about that Wang Feng said. Yes, it's that Wang Feng, Bibidon said in a low voice. But I didn't expect him to be so strong. Spectre caught up with Tang San and the others who were escaping. Just as you expected, one of them was dying. It was that Tang San. But that human-shaped soul beast wanted to sacrifice himself to save that Tang San. Originally, with Spectre's strength, she should have been able to bring that human-shaped soul beast back. However, Wang Feng had rushed out and almost killed Spectre. 5 years ago, he could only fight to a draw with 2 titled Doulu. But now, he can even kill a rank 96 titled Doulu. And he's a special titled Douluo like Spectre. Then he's really very strong. Wang Feng nodded and said in agreement. This kid's appearance is very likely to affect my subsequent plans. Bibidon said in a low voice. I'm in a special situation now, so I can't do anything for now. I need you to do something for me. Go to the Heaven Do Empire and secretly observe Xueqinghe and Tang San. It's best if you can help Xueqinghe ascend to the throne of Heaven Do. Whether you succeed or not, I'll take you to a place when you return to the Pontiff's palace in 3 months. It's a place where you can inherit the position of God. You'll be able to experience the power of God. A smile suddenly appeared on Bibidon's face. If you want to directly become a god, you have to at least understand the power of God. Wang Feng. Also, I'll announce your death to the public. Bibidon's eyes flashed. After all, you resisted the domains of 400,000-year soul beasts in a row. It's normal for you to explode and die. At the time, the Titan Giant Ape and Sky Azure Bull Python were chasing after that human-shaped soul beast. Naturally, they didn't know about your situation. So, your name as white-robed Popetiff will temporarily disappear. When you go to the Heaven Do Empire, don't let anyone discover you. It's best if even I don't discover you. That way, it'll be even harder for the enemy to discover you. Bibidon said, but the necessary contact still needs to be maintained. If you succeed in helping Xueqinghe become the Heaven Do Emperor, I can promise you one more thing. As long as I can do it, Bibidon. Wang Feng was completely aware of Bibidon's plan. This was to make him disappear from the eyes of the world and secretly help Qianrenxue to establish a connection with the Heaven Do Empire. Wang Feng couldn't help but admire Bibidon's wisdom. Especially the announcement of his death. This could completely make Tang San and the others relax their vigilance. They would even think that the Martial Spirit Palace had suffered a double loss. They would paralyze the enemy. Then they would send him, Popetiff, to secretly help Qianrenxue. Bibidon is too smart. If not, I'll just take the risk and directly eliminate him. Wang Fengxin thought, otherwise, I feel that Xiao San won't be able to defeat him. But it was just a thought. Wang Feng didn't have the slightest confidence to do so. Also, Tang San will be a threat in the future. Bibidon's expression was somewhat cold. That human-shaped soul beast must have been sacrificed to him. He's only over rank 60, but he already has 100,000-year soul ring, and it's a sacrifice. With this kind of potential, he'll definitely be a great enemy in the future. But there's no hurry. Let him grow for a while. Compared to Wang Feng, this Tang San is nothing. I'll keep him for later use. End of chapter. Chapter 632. Wang Fengxin sighed. At this moment, Bibidon emitted a faint aura of an emperor, as if she was in control of everything. But she did have this ability. Every time Wang Feng looked at Bibidon, he felt like he was looking at an empress. Wave after wave of plans, as if she always had a trick up her sleeve. Was it time for this undercover job to end? Wang Fengxin thought, why don't I not go to the Rakshasa secret realm? But he was a little unwilling, after all, he had already done so much. Forget it, let nature take its course. Bibidon had pretty much told him all her secret. Is Xueqinghe also a member of our martial spirit hall? Wang Feng pretended not to know anything and asked. You will know when you go. Bibidon didn't seem to want to talk about it and frowned. Also, whether you can do it or not, your life is the most important thing. Hearing this, Wang Feng fell silent. The meaning of these words was obvious. Even if Xueqinghe couldn't become the emperor, Wang Wu couldn't die either. Obviously, Bibidon already regarded Wang Wu's life as more important than this plan. You and I know about this plan, Bibidon finally said. Even those titled Douluo and Nana won't know. Wang Feng nodded. Bibidon obviously had some suspicions that there was a spy or something like that. It was time to leave the martial spirit hall and return to Heaven Do City. As for the Rakshasa's secret realm, he could only wait and see. Wang Feng left from the back of the martial spirit hall silently. Looking at Wang Feng's back, Bibidon sighed and regretted. It seemed to be regretful that he didn't join the martial spirit hall earlier. A few days later, the martial spirit hall announced that the newly appointed white-clothed Popetiff, who had been in office for less than a year, had unexpectedly died in the Great Star Do Forest. The white-clothed Popetiff had entered the Great Star Do Forest alone and failed to kill a 100,000-year-soul beast, resulting in his death. His Majesty the Pope personally prayed for his burial and made all the martial spirit halls in the continent pay their respects. At this point, the two empires, several large sects, and various forces were shocked. Outside Heaven Do City, Tang San and the others had just returned from the Great Star Do Forest. They heard the news before they even entered the city. For a moment, everyone was shocked. Good death! Ma Hongjun laughed and said, "This white-robed Popetiff actually dared to pretend to be the captain. He died a wonderful death." Martial Spirit Palace is really something. Oscar shook his head. They're clearly here to capture Xiao Wu, yet they claimed to have killed a 100,000-year-soul beast. They don't seem to care and are just telling the truth. Although they didn't know what had happened later on, they still didn't know. However, over the past few days, Tang San had told them about the situation back then in full detail. By the way, Lil 3, according to what you said, this white Popetiff used a flag to block the 4 domains. Dai Mubai suddenly thought, is that also a type of martial spirit? What kind of martial soul can withstand the domain of a 100,000-year-soul beast? Tang San was silent for a moment and said, I don't know. But if it wasn't for him, Xiao Wu and I wouldn't have had a chance to escape. However, that mysterious flag martial soul could make the 4 domains disappear instantly. It's really too powerful. He might not have been able to survive after using it. Tang San still remembered that green flag. How terrifying was its power! That was the domain of a 100,000-year-soul beast, and it was directly destroyed. Although he reacted quickly at that time and ran away with Xiao Wu, in fact, he was also shocked by the strength of the white-robed Popetiff. Twin martial spirits. Fortunately, he was already dead. The news from the Martial Spirit Palace couldn't be false because no one could survive in the situation at that time. Tang San inexplicably heaved a sigh of relief. The pressure brought by this white-robed Popetiff was really too great. Only Zhu Zhuqing seemed to be a little silent. No one knew what she was thinking. I don't know when the captain will come back. Ma Hongjun thought for a moment. I don't know how he survived these past 5 years. He was able to survive that kind of situation back then. It's really terrifying. The group of people returned to Shrek Academy. However, they found that the atmosphere in the academy was a little strange and very tense. This tension was reflected in all aspects. For example, there were more cultivation academies and more students fighting in the square. Everyone's face was tense. Ma Hongjun grabbed a student and asked, Junior, what's going on? Are you a fatty? I don't want to talk to you. The student frowned and shook off Ma Hongjun's hand. Ma Hongjun was furious. What's wrong with a fatty? Did he eat your rice? He should be burly now, not fat. Dai Mubai hurriedly grabbed the student and coughed a few times. Junior, did something happen among the students? Dai Mubai discovered a few special students. For example, a few students had the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Martial Soul. One had to know that the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Martial Soul would only appear in the direct descendants of the Blue Lightning Tyrant clan. Even the Thunder Academy, which was supported by the Blue Lightning Tyrant clan, was one of the 4 great elemental academies of the Heaven Do Empire. There were very few students with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon martial soul. Not only that, but there were also a few students with the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda martial soul. These students were only direct descendants of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect. How could these disciples be in Shrek Academy? Even with the current reputation of Shrek Academy, it was impossible for these direct descendants of the 3 upper sects to join willingly. The sects behind them would not agree either. In the distance, a delicate voice sounded. "All of you, run faster. This is how I trained back then." This voice was clearly very gentle, but at this moment, it was abnormally cold and very strange. Everyone looked over and saw Ning Rongrong with her hands on her hips, looking at a group of 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect disciples running around the field. Each disciple was carrying a heavy stone. It was very similar to the days when they trained in Shrek Academy. In the past, I was not in the mood to care about you guys. But now that the Martial Spirit Palace has come knocking on our door, who knows when the Martial Spirit Palace will come again? You guys are all too weak. On the battlefield, you can't even outrun me. What's the use of having such a powerful support? Ning Rongrong's beautiful face was cold. After entering this Shrek Academy, there are too many people now. The teachers can't manage them all, so I'll personally train you guys. Tang San and the others. However, they seemed to have understood the meaning behind Ning Rongrong's words. The Martial Spirit Palace made a move against the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect? The few of them looked at each other, feeling a little confused for a moment. You guys can't be Shrek's 7 monsters, right? At this moment, the student who was caught by Dai Mubai said in surprise, "I'm from the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect. It seems like you guys just came back from outside and don't know the details?" End of chapter. Chapter 633. This student then told them about the Martial Spirit Palace's attack on the Blue Lightning Overlord sect and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect. After hearing that, they were all shocked. They didn't expect the Martial Spirit Palace to launch such an attack. After saying that, he left. "Sorry, I still have to train. You can ask for the details yourselves. Senior Ning has been working very hard recently. You can go and ask her." Seeing this, Tang San and the others fell silent. If they remembered correctly, the white-clothed Popediff who pretended to be Wang Feng seemed to have gone to the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect with Ning Rongrong. Now that they thought about it, the other party probably wanted to use this opportunity to infiltrate the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect and cooperate with them to take down the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect in one fell swoop. Thinking of this, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. They couldn't help but look at Ning Rongrong. "Little San, you're back?" At this moment, a familiar voice sounded. They turned around and saw the master, Lu Erlong, and several other teachers walking over. "Teacher!" they hurriedly shouted. "We heard about the white-clothed Popediff. Are you all okay in the Great Stardo Forest?" The master and the others walked over and asked in a low voice. The white-clothed Popediff killed a 100,000-year soul beast. Others might not know the secret behind it, but they could naturally guess that the Martial Spirit Palace must have sent the white-clothed Popediff to hunt Xiao Wu and probably brought a lot of people with him. After all, they knew Xiao Wu's identity. So Tang San and the others must have encountered it. The situation is very complicated. Tang San stroked the little rabbit in his arms. "We didn't expect so many things to happen here." Thinking of this, Tang San and the others told them what happened in the Great Stardo Forest. After listening, the master and the others were stunned. Because there were too many twists and turns. The Martial Spirit Palace had 7 titled Douluo, white-clothed Popediff, and 4 100,000-year soul beasts. In that case, this little rabbit is... Lu Erlong looked at the little rabbit in Tang San's arms and trembled. With tears in her eyes, she shouted angrily, "Martial Spirit Palace, bastards! I won't forgive you!" The master patted Lu Erlong's shoulder gently. Because the two of them had obtained the recognition of their families, It could be said that they had broken through the last layer of their relationship. Before he could be happy for too long, the situation of the martial spirit palace became more and more serious. On the other hand, Xiao Wu sacrificed herself. As Xiao Wu's godmother, Lu Erlong was naturally heartbroken. The martial spirit palace is really cunning. Flender snorted coldly. First, they sent white-robed Popediff to disguise as Wang Feng, wanting to annihilate the two great sects in one fell swoop. Then, they used you to find little Wu and launched an attack. But in the end, he still died in the Great Star Do Forest. I have to take revenge. Bibidon, this woman is too crazy and ruthless. Lu Erlong glanced at the master, her eyes flashing with coldness. For the sake of your goals, you're willing to do anything. The master didn't speak. By the way, you said that it was Lin Feng who appeared in the end and saved you? Zhao Wuji was surprised. Tang San and the others nodded. Then it seems that it's really thanks to Lin Feng. Zhao Wuji couldn't help but shake his head. On the night of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile Sect, if Lin Feng hadn't sent a message to Sect Master Ning in advance and pointed out that white-robed Popediff was a fake, I'm afraid that the two great sects would have been destroyed by now. I didn't expect him to be here all the time. Hearing this, Tang San and the others were startled. I suspect that Lin Feng came on the day you agreed on, the master suddenly said. The master's words made everyone a little surprised. Since he came, why didn't he directly recognize him? Give that white-robed Popediff a chance? Ma Hongjun couldn't help but ask. It's very simple, because he found out that someone was pretending to be him. With Lin Feng's intelligence, of course, he wouldn't expose it at the first time. After guessing, he must have found that this person was very likely to be from the Martial Spirit Palace. Because the Martial Spirit Palace and Tang San have a grudge against each other. The master explained. After Lin Feng found out this, he was in no hurry to expose it first. Since the Martial Spirit Palace sent someone to pretend to be him, they must have other purposes. Only by exposing it at the critical moment could the Martial Spirit Palace's plan be destroyed in one fell swoop. Lin Feng is smart. Hongjun, think about it. If he exposed it in advance, the Martial Spirit Palace would definitely change their plan and repeat the same mistake, causing the two great sects to be tragically attacked. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun suddenly understood. The others also figured it out. So, is that why there are so many disciples from the two great sects? Dai Mubai asked. Flender nodded and said, yes, now the two great sects have joined forces and sent some of their direct disciples to the Shrek Academy for training. The royal family also sent many elite disciples to the Shrek Academy for training. They plan to work together to fight against it. Prince Xueqinghe even came in person. The two great sects joined forces. The combined strength of these two forces couldn't be underestimated. It's just that Rongrong has suffered a lot. Lu Erlong looked at Ning Rongrong, who was still reprimanding the disciples of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile Sect. Rongrong thought that the other party was the real Wang Feng, so she happily brought the fake Wang Feng back to the sect, only to find that the fake Wang Feng almost destroyed the sect. That kind of disappointment, everyone fell silent. This kind of disappointment would be a great blow to people. So this kid is trying to numb himself in this way, so that he won't feel terrible when he thinks about it. Lu Erlong gently stroked the rabbit's soft hair. When he's angry, he won't eat for 2 days. We can't persuade him, even his father can't persuade him. Let's go and persuade him. Zhu Zhuqing said in a low voice. In comparison, Zhu Zhuqing felt better. Tang San and the others walked over. Seeing Tang San and the others come back, Ning Rongrong's cold face softened a little, especially when she saw Xiao Wu, who was in a daze. Rongrong, don't worry about your health. Ma Hongjun said. Nothing happened to the captain. He's been hiding in the dark all this time, and he even saved us in the Great Star Do Forest. He's fine, and now the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile Sect is fine too. Isn't that great? Most importantly, that white popetiff is dead. You should be happy. Ning Rongrong didn't say anything. Are you blaming the captain? Oscar thought for a moment. No, I don't blame him. Ning Rongrong shook her head. I only blame myself. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. What did she mean? It was really difficult to understand a girl's complicated thoughts. Then are you thinking about Wang Feng? Dai Mubai asked in a low voice. Don't worry, the captain should be here soon. No. Ning Rongrong's voice suddenly became a little louder. I don't want to see him. Not at all. Hearing this, everyone was even more stunned. Zhu Zhuqing seemed to understand something, and wanted to say something, but stopped. After saying that, Ning Rongrong turned around and left. She went to continue the training with her teammate. End of chapter. Chapter 634. With her taking the lead, many of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect disciples who were complaining immediately fell silent. As the sect master's daughter, she could train with them. Naturally, they didn't dare to complain. Moreover, they still remembered clearly the day when they were attacked by the martial spirit palace. I can't understand. Ma Hongjun scratched his head. With my experience with girls, I really can't understand. I might need the captain to come here personally to understand. At this moment, Oscar suddenly said to the distance, Wang Feng, you're back. Swoosh. Swoosh. Several rays of light instantly condensed in the distance. Ning Rongrong also hurriedly ran over from afar. She looked in the direction that Oscar said, but she didn't see anything. She couldn't help but blush with anger. Everyone. Didn't you want to see him? Dai Mubai wondered. Oscar, do you want to die? Ning Rongrong said angrily. Oscar coughed a few times and laughed awkwardly. Suddenly, he was stunned. He looked behind Ning Rongrong and said in surprise, Captain, you're really back? The others were also stunned. They looked into the distance with surprise. You still want to lie to me? Ning Rongrong sneered. I won't be fooled. If he's really back, I'll bring Ning Rongrong's name here to read. However, at this moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded from behind her. Rongrong Ning. This name doesn't sound good. The moment the voice sounded, Dai Mubai and the others couldn't help but laugh. Of course, they didn't really laugh out loud. They were holding it in. Zhu Zhuqing's beautiful eyes glanced at him, but she remained silent. Ning Rongrong didn't turn around. Instead, she said in a trembling voice, Go away, go away. I don't want to see you. After saying that, Ning Rongrong ran out. Wang Feng also looked at Ning Rongrong in surprise. He was a little confused for a moment. He had just rushed back. There was a pair of blood wings on his back. He was wearing a black robe and a mask. Bibidan's plan was to give Wang Feng a few months to prepare for something in advance. She also wanted Wang Feng to get in touch with her daughter, Qian Rinxue. He wanted to see if he could help Qian Rinxue seize the throne of the Heaven Dou Empire and accelerate Bibidan's plan. However, logically speaking, Qian Rinxue and the Thousand Dao sect were on the same side. This plan should have been approved by the Thousand Dao sect. Wang Feng wasn't sure if he should help Qian Rinxue seize the throne of the Heaven Dou Empire or not. Because no matter what, Bibidan had said that when they returned, she would bring him to a place where he could witness the power of the gods. It was definitely the Rakshasa mystic realm. Even if he really helped Qian Rinxue seize the throne, Bibidan would only agree to one of his requests. Wang Feng obviously didn't care about the Bibidan's request. Therefore Wang Feng came to see how Tang San and the others were doing. He had no choice. With Bibidan's calculations and plans, he didn't know if there would be other accidents. This woman was really something. Wang Feng didn't expect to encounter such a scene as soon as he returned. Wang Feng knew that Ning Rongrong was sad, but he didn't expect it to be so serious. Thinking of this, Wang Fengxin couldn't help but sigh softly. Brother Feng, you go and take a look first. Tang San glanced at Zhu Zhuqing. Lu Erlong, to be honest, Rongrong hasn't eaten for a few days. She looks a lot more haggard. Wang Feng nodded. Although they hadn't seen each other for more than 5 years, they had actually met on the appointed day. It was also because of what had happened to them in the past few years. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry. However, Tang San and the others must be very curious about what had happened to them. Wang Feng quickly chased in the direction Ning Rongrong ran in. In fact, Wang Feng didn't tell Tang San and the others about his identity as a spy at first because he was worried that it would be easy for others to see through him. The more people who knew about it, the easier it would be for them to see through him. Unless each of them was an award-winning actor like him, they would be able to portray him in an extremely realistic manner. At this time, Popediff in White was already dead. Moreover, this plan and secret were only known by Bibidon and himself. It wasn't so important. Even if a little bit was revealed, it didn't matter. But it was best not to reveal it as much as possible, because Wang Feng didn't know if Bibidon had any hidden tricks or something. Soon, Wang Feng found Ning Rongrong. Under a big tree, she seemed to be in a daze. Rongrong. Wang Feng walked over, thought for a moment, and said, "Are you blaming me?" Ning Rongrong's body trembled, but she still didn't want to look back. She just shook her head and said, "No, I don't blame you. You saved the sect. How can I blame you?" "Yes, I think so too," Wang Fengxin said. "Then why are you so sad? Why don't you turn around?" Wang Feng coughed a few times. "I don't want to." Ning Rongrong's voice trembled slightly. "Wang Feng, go away. I won't bother you anymore." Wang Feng thought for a moment and seemed to understand something. "Then I'm leaving." After that, Wang Feng turned around and left. In an instant, Ning Rongrong whimpered and squatted on the ground, sobbing. After a while, a figure appeared in front of her and whispered, "Rongrong, do you really think I'll leave? If there's anything, just say it." Ning Rongrong raised her head, and her face was covered in tears. "Wang Feng, I'm not pure anymore." I hugged that Popediff very intimately, and I even snuggled up to him and said a lot of intimate words to him. I feel so shameless. I feel. Ning Rongrong couldn't finish her sentence. She just lowered her head, as if she was too ashamed to face the elders of Jiangdong. "I'm so useless. I actually didn't see it. I feel so dirty," Ning Rongrong sobbed. "I'm not worthy of you at all now. So that's how it is," Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, "You're not worthy of me anyway." Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong was so angry that she wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. She looked at Wang Feng, and for a moment she laughed and cried. "You! Ning Rongrong! You silly girl!" Wang Feng pulled Ning Rongrong into his arms. "He's already dead. Do you think I care about that?" Wang Fengxin thought, if someone really dared to pretend to be me to get close to you, I wouldn't just stand by and watch, waiting for the plan to fail. I'll just pick up my weapon and kill him first. Why don't you care? Ning Rongrong hugged Wang Feng, and she didn't cry or laugh. She just said softly, "I hugged another man, and said so many intimate words to another man. How can you not care?" Wang Feng. Ning Rongrong lightly punched Wang Feng. "I won't make trouble for no reason. Wang Feng, I feel that I'm still useless and can't help you at all. You even saved my sect. I feel that I'm really useless by your side. Rongrong, you said something wrong. You're still a little useful," Wang Feng said. Ning Rongrong. P.S. End. This chapter ends. Chapter 635. Ning Rongrong's situation. Wang Feng didn't guess it at first, but later on, Wang Feng guessed it. After all, at that time, Ning Rongrong hugged the white-clothed Popediff, and said a lot of goosebump. Something like, "I'll give you a check, big," and so on. If it was to the person he liked, it would naturally be no problem, but in the end, it was to the enemy, his feelings were deceived. It became a knot in his heart. "What's the use of me? I can't help you with anything." Ning Rongrong lightly snorted. A woman who can't help a man is useless. At that time, my mother could at least protect my father and let my father carry forward the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. It seems like I can only drag you down. Wang Fengxian's heart moved. Only then did he remember that according to the 7 treasure glazed tile sect's rules, Ning Fengji should have married an extremely powerful woman. Tsk. His status in the family couldn't be guaranteed. He was probably a slave to his wife back then. It's okay, my legs are thick, you can't drag me down, Wang Feng said. Ning Rongrong was so angry that she laughed. Wang Feng, you're so annoying. Why do you always make me laugh? Then what's the use of me? Ning Rongrong wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. For a moment she felt very complicated, but she didn't feel depressed. Girls can have children, we men can't. Wang Feng thought for a moment. Ning Rongrong's face blushed. She suddenly said angrily, Wang Feng, are you treating us girls as tools to have children? You're objectifying us girls. Wang Feng, Rongrong, do you want to be a female boxer for once? Punch out. But Wang Feng was joking. Sure enough, he heard Ning Rongrong say shyly in a low voice, but I'm willing to have children with you, hee. Wang Feng smiled. In the face of true love, how could there be a female boxer? Wang Feng, why are you still wearing a mask? Ning Rongrong turned around and touched the cold mask. I'm disfigured and ugly, so I can't take it off for the time being. I'm afraid I'll scare you, Wang Feng said casually as a thought crossed his mind. However, hearing this, Ning Rongrong suddenly said with a look of pleasant surprise, Really? That's great. Wang Feng, what do you mean? Are you hoping for me to become ugly? You become ugly so that I can be a match for you. I'm a super pretty little fairy. Ning Rongrong giggled. Hearing this, Wang Feng was slightly surprised. He patted Ning Rongrong's head. What a silly girl. Although the angle was very tricky, he could feel that Ning Rongrong still felt that way in her heart and felt that she was not worthy of him. Sigh, I'm still too outstanding. Forget it. He would let her think that way. At least it would make Rongrong feel better. They chatted for a while longer before Wang Feng took Ning Rongrong back to the masters. Tisk, brother Feng, you're so effective. Ma Hongjun smiled. Look, Rongrong is glowing. She wasn't alone just then, was she? Wang Feng came back with Ning Rongrong. Fatty, do you want to die? Ning Rongrong snorted. I can't beat you, but Grandpa Jian and Grandpa Gu can beat you up. Ma Hongjun dug his nose. He didn't seem to be afraid. However, hearing what Ning Rongrong said proved that Ning Rongrong was a good person. For a moment, smiles appeared on everyone's faces. Zhu Zhuqing was the only one who glanced at Wang Feng. Shrek's 7 monsters were finally here. This is Xiao Wu, right? Wang Feng looked at the little rabbit in Tang San's arms and sighed. Xiao Wu's words seemed to be echoing in his ears. To be able to give up one's life for another, this kind of love had reached the pinnacle. Wang Feng sensed that Tang San's soul power was 2 ranks higher than his. At the same time, all aspects of his body should have improved a lot. Wang Feng had 300,000-year soul rings, so he was clear about them. The soul ring that Xiao Wu had sacrificed to Tang San had appeared wholeheartedly, and Tang San had absorbed it perfectly. Furthermore, it contained Xiao Wu's own power. For a soul master, it was the most perfect result. Furthermore, this sacrifice also included the soul, which would greatly increase Tang San's spiritual power. There were no side effects. However, Wang Feng had all kinds of abilities, and his absorption of the 100,000-year soul ring was also perfect. In particular, 2 of them were additional rewards from the system. They were completely absorbed without any side effect. The little rabbit looked at Wang Feng and blinked its big eyes. It looked quite cute. Tang San nodded and suddenly said, Teacher, my soul bone seems to have changed. Can you help me take a look? On the way here, I haven't figured out what's going on with my soul bone. Tang San's soul bones were only slightly inferior to Wang Feng's. He had 200,000-year soul bones, 160,000-year soul bone, and one external soul bone with growth ability. Wang Feng was also a little surprised. What kind of changes could happen to Tang San's soul bone? Show it to me. Master's eyes focused. Even titled Douluo rarely have soul bones. There are usually some changes that have not been studied yet. If there are any changes, you must try your best to control it. You must not develop in a bad direction. Xiao San should have 200,000-year soul bones now, right? Oscar thought for a while. I only have one until now, and it's only 20,000-year soul bones. Oscar had a mirror beast soul bone. It was a rather special soul bone. I have two. Dai Mubai shook his head and said, however, they are both 60 to 70,000-year soul bones. One of them is from the imperial family of the empire. The other one is obtained by myself over the years. I have two too. Ma Hongjun smiled. One of them was given to us by the captain in the Pope's palace. The other one was obtained by accident when I was traveling with Oscar over the years. 2. Zhu Zhuqing nodded slightly. She had one that Wang Feng gave her in the Pope's palace. The other one was passed down in her family. The Zhu family was one of the top families in the Star Luo Empire. They had a soul bone to pass down. In fact, large sects and families would more or less have one or two soul bones to pass down to their descendant. If someone in the family passed away, it would naturally be passed down slowly. Wang Feng suspected that the reason why the titled Douluo in the Martial Soul Hall did not have soul bones was that they were all taken by Bibidon. This was because Bibidon had the most soul bones. Although he had not seen it with his own eyes, Hulaina had mentioned it before. I have two too, Ningrongrong said. However, I don't have as many as third brother. 100,000-year soul bone is too exaggerated. Ningrongrong had one soul bone. One of them was given to her by Wang Feng. It was Shern Yan's skull. It was about 30,000 years old. The other one was given to her by Ning Fengji. End of chapter. Chapter 636. However, the age of their soul bones was not even 70,000 or 80,000 years old, let alone 100,000 years. In Wang Feng's impression, apart from Tang San, the others only had one soul bone in the original work. It seemed that they had changed a lot too. Thinking about it, other than Oscar and Ma Hongjun, the rest of them had extraordinary backgrounds. How could they have gotten their hands on soul bones? Oscar and Ma Hongjun were probably just lucky. You only have two soul bones, so it's naturally difficult to change. However, it's already very rare. The master pondered for a moment. Little Three's soul bones are different. They're both 100,000-year-old. Actually, if possible, I don't want to get these two 100,000-year-old soul bones. Tang San shook his head. This was not pretentious. Tang San had two 100,000-year-old soul bones. One was his mother, and the other was his lover. But they were both soul beasts. Hearing this, Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat. If he could use the cauldron of heaven and earth, and use his Xian Qi to refine it 108 times, would it be able to improve the quality of his soul bones? If he had the chance to find a soul bone next time, he could give it a try. If he had more soul bones, he could try fusing them. Wang Feng couldn't forget about the fused torso bone. The feeling of being able to sell something was really wonderful. Little Three, show me your soul bones. Let me see what's going on, the master said. Tang San nodded and slightly channeled his soul power. Several soul bones slowly appeared. The 8 spider spears on his back were sharp and looked ferocious. Everyone dispersed. There was no one else nearby, only the teachers and the 7 monsters. Tang San did not intend to hide anything. It doesn't seem to have changed? They looked at the 8 spider spears. Although its aura was stronger, the changes were not very big. Tang San was also stunned. Strange, I felt some changes before. Why is there no movement now? The master thought for a moment and suddenly said, Little Feng, you and Little Three can practice. Little Three, you can use all the abilities of your soul bones. Maybe you have to use them for a while to see the changes. Tang San nodded and felt that it made sense. Wang Feng didn't refuse. He had returned to the Shrek Academy to see how strong Little Three and the others were. The last time he met them, he was using the identity of White Pope Diff. Because it was a disguise, he only exchanged a few simple blows with them. After several years, Tang San once again stood in front of Wang Feng. How many times has it been? Tang San suddenly felt like time was flowing like water. He recalled the first time he fought with Big Brother Feng in the Holy Spirit Village. At that time, she was worried that Big Brother Feng would get hurt, so she brought medicinal herbs. In the end, she used them on herself. Thinking of this, Tang San could not help but smile. Tang San took a deep breath. A purple light flashed in his eyes, and 3 soul bones appeared on his body. 2 yellow and 2 purple soul rings, 1 black and 1 red, lit up from his body. His current physical fitness was also extremely strong. Any 100,000-year soul bone would greatly strengthen a soul master's body, and it was the same for a 100,000-year soul ring. In fact, the endurance of a soul ring was related to the soul master's physical fitness in addition to the level of the soul ring. Usually, the stronger the soul ring, the higher the age of the soul ring. Moreover, Tang San's 8 extraordinary meridians had been opened at this time, so his cultivation speed and physical strength had been greatly improved. From Wang Feng's point of view, he could clearly feel that Tang San's body was a little special. The opening of the 8 extraordinary meridians meant that the body had entered a special realm. Of course, there might be a big difference between it and Wang Feng's dustless glass body, but it was much stronger than other soul masters. At the same time, Tang San's many Tang sect consummate skills had been refined to an extremely high level after so many years of cultivation, and he could use them as he wished. Because it was a casual fight, there was no such thing as starting. Wang Feng waited quietly. He was now equivalent to a sword test stone to see what changes had happened to his soul bone and Tang San's strength. Soon, Tang San moved. But he made the first move with his domain. Blue-silver domain. Blue-silver grass had evolved into blue-silver emperor. This talent domain might not have any attack power, but it was indeed very strong. The most important thing was that one of Tang San's soul skills had undergone a huge change in the blue-silver domain. That was bind. There were forests all around, and Shrek Academy also had a lot of blue-silver grass. When Tang San's blue-silver domain was released, it almost instantly covered a range of 100 meters. Bind. Under the blue-silver domain, this first soul skill became an instant cast soul skill. Moreover, it was instant cast in the blue-silver domain. This was the powerful ability of the blue-silver domain. Moreover, the blue-silver emperor was much stronger than blue-silver grass in all aspects. If blue-silver grass was only R quality before, it was at least SSR or UR quality now. At least, that was what Wang Feng felt. Countless blue-silver grass covered Wang Feng's entire body from under his feet. The blue-silver emperor, which was as thick as an arm, looked extremely tough. It was like steel and flickered with a light blue luster. Just this move alone was very difficult for soul masters of the same level to block. Blue-silver stab. Tang San's eyes flashed. The moment the blue-silver emperor wrapped around Tang San, he activated the blue-silver stab. This was the 4th soul skill that was improved from the blue-silver cage. It could stab someone in mid-air and force them to be stunned for a second. At the same time, the 8 spider spears on Tang San's back moved slightly. His entire body emitted a faint golden light as he rushed towards Wang Feng. Following which, Tang San's right arm soul bone flashed and suddenly disappeared. He directly appeared in mid-air. This was the soul skill of the right arm bone that Xiao Wu sacrificed, teleportation. Binding spiderweb. At this moment the stun effect ended. When Tang San rushed over, he had already prepared his 3rd soul skill. A ball of purple light condensed in his hand, and he threw it towards Wang Feng, who was still bound. Because it was teleportation, the moment the blue-silver stab disappeared, the binding spiderweb took over again, making it impossible for the opponent to escape. It was a complete set of soul skills. Soul masters below rank 80 would not be able to resist such a combo. Under such control, Tang San had many choices. He could use his blue-silver tyrant spear to attack, or he could use his 8 spider spears to attack. However, if he wanted to use his soul bone, he naturally had to use his 8 spider spears. Tang San was not afraid that he could hurt Brother Feng. Brother Feng could even defeat a titled Douluo. He did not think that his attack could hurt Brother Feng. Everyone watched seriously. At this moment, Tang San's 8 spider spears shone. The 8 spider spears actually merged into one. Tang San's 8 spider's spear had been damaged while blocking the 5-headed snake's attack. However, after Little Dance had sacrificed herself, Tang San's 8 spider's spear had recovered. It had even undergone some changes. The 8 spider spears were like machines. They merged together and stabbed towards Wang Feng. Tang San could vaguely feel a special aura flowing between the soul bones. There seemed to be signs of fusion. When the 8 spider spears merged into one and landed on Wang Feng's body, Tang San's figure shuddered violently as he felt a great force being reflected from the 8 spider's spear. It was as if he had stabbed an indestructible piece of metal. His entire body was instantly sent flying. Under the powerful explosion, countless blue-silver emperor vines were directly blown to pieces. Wang Feng's figure was revealed. Tang San's leg bone flashed. He used the flying ability of his blue-silver emperor leg bone and the ghost shadow perplexing track to quickly change his position in midair to maintain his balance. End of chapter. Chapter 637. It's still not enough. Wang Feng said, Little San, your attack is very strong, but it's still difficult for you to break through my defense. The power of your soul bones hasn't been fully unleashed yet. Wang Feng's body was very strong now. 300,000-year soul rings, 300,000-year soul bones, and the dustless glass body allowed Wang Feng's body to reach a terrifying level. Right now, Wang Feng's mysterious underworld armor had reached 39,000 kilograms. It was a very terrifying number. When he was over rank 50, it was only 20,000 kilograms. Now that he was at rank 65, it was close to 40,000 kilograms. The external attachment soul bone had the ability to grow. Tang San's 8 spider spear was evolving. Every soul ring increased a soul master's overall strength. It didn't just mean that he gained soul skills. His previous soul skills would be enhanced by his new soul ring. Naturally, it was the same for his external soul bone that had the ability to grow. Right now, Wang Feng's mysterious underworld armor was very strong with the support of 300,000-year soul rings. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to assassinate an ordinary titled Douluo with his sword. Using a weapon to kill people was directly related to Wang Feng's mental strength, but it was also related to the strength of the mysterious dark spike itself. For example, Tang San's 8 spider spear could even hurt a soul Dalu. Tang San's 8 spider spear couldn't break through his mysterious underworld armor's defense. Little San is still a little weak. Wang Fengxin thought, Little San's strength should increase greatly after he becomes a god. He's still not strong enough now. At this moment, Tang San's 4 soul bones in midair suddenly flowed with a special aura. Following this, the 4 soul bones seemed to be injected with a special power. The 8 spider spear behind Tang San slowly shrank until it was only 3 meters long. Following this, it stuck to Tang San's back and extended to Tang San's chest. It actually formed a special breastplate. At the same time, his right arm and right leg bones quickly extended and formed a special armor. They became one with the breastplate formed by the 8 spider spear. However, it looked a little weird. This was because his left arm and leg didn't have any soul bones. Hence, they didn't form any special armor. It was the same for the soul bone in his head. After this change, Tang San's aura became much stronger. Wang Feng was taken aback. What the hell was that? Could a soul bone undergo a special transformation and form a true armor? Soul bone fusion technique? Grandmaster blurted out. What's that? The others were puzzled. None of them had heard of it before. Soul bones were extremely rare, and it was naturally even more difficult to research them. It's a very rare ability. A hint of delight flashed through the Grandmaster's eyes. It's a miraculous skill that resonates between soul bones and fuses them into a single entity. It can greatly increase a soul master's strength. After the fusion, the soul bone's compatibility with the soul master will be raised to a whole new level. This was the first time that everyone had heard of such a miraculous ability between soul bones. It was similar to martial soul fusion. However, it was obviously much more difficult than martial soul fusion. To form a true soul bone fusion, 6 soul bones must be gathered to form a complete set. Little 3's soul bones are too special. It's only because he has 200,000-year soul bones that Little 3 was able to create such a soul bone fusion skill. However, it's not as powerful as the combination of 6 soul bones. However, this means that after he has 6 soul bones, he will definitely be able to form a true soul bone fusion technique. Everyone was shocked. Wang Fengxin had already guessed it, but he was still quite surprised. He had 300,000-year soul bones and 1 external soul bone, but they didn't form such a soul bone fusion technique. He didn't expect Little 3 to form. Perhaps this has something to do with Little 3's soul rings or the fact that 2 of them are 10,000-year soul bones. Wang Feng shook his head in his heart. Tang San's soul bones and soul rings originated from the people closest to him. The fusion rate was very high, and with the external soul bone. That was why this scene was happening. However, Little 3's current soul bone fusion isn't very good. The Grandmaster pondered for a long time and shook his head. Little 3 forcefully fused 4 soul bones into one because he has a 100,000-year soul ring and an external soul bone. A truly perfect soul bone fusion technique requires an entire set of soul bones from the same soul beast. Only then can they achieve true resonance and achieve a perfect fusion rate of 100%. However, this is almost impossible. It's already very good to have a situation like Little 3. Everyone, a soul beast dropping an entire set of soul bones? Wang Feng couldn't help but laugh. Was it possible? Even if it was a sacrifice, it was impossible. Unless they hunted soul beasts of the same species and dropped soul bones from different parts, they might be able to achieve a similar effect. At this moment, Tang San, who had fused 4 soul bones, had obviously become stronger. Tang San's leg bones moved, and his body turned into a stream of light as he attacked Wang Feng. This time, his soul skill was unleashed even faster than before. Coil, parasitic, blue-silver stab. The speed and power of his cast were much stronger than before. Wang Feng didn't resist. With his current strength, even if he didn't use any martial soul, Tang San's attack would be easily broken by him if he resisted. Countless blue-silver grass gathered under the ground of the blue-silver domain to form a long spear. Wang Feng focused and remained as still as a mountain. The blue-silver grass wrapped around his body didn't have any side effects on him. However, Wang Feng could clearly feel that the power of this soul skill had increased by quite a lot. It was obviously due to the soul bone fusion. There was a blue light at the tip of the spear. Almost at the moment when it stabbed Wang Feng, Tang San quickly teleported and directly appeared behind Wang Feng. He turned around and attacked Wang Feng's back. The spear landed on Wang Feng's back. The next moment, the aura of the soul bone fusion on Tang San's body was instantly dispersed. The long spear formed by the blue-silver emperor was shattered again. However, Tang San didn't give up. The long spear roared and the clear sky hammer appeared in his hand again. Tang San made use of this rebounding force and shouted loudly. He stepped into the void and turned his body. Using the wild splitting wind hammer technique, he once again swung the rebounding force of the mysterious underworld armor at Wang Feng. Wang Fengxin was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Little San to be able to adapt so quickly. The chaotic splitting wind hammer technique was a technique that borrowed strength to attack strength. The first time it was reflected. The second time, Tang San immediately thought of using this method to counter his opponent. This was equivalent to borrowing the strength of Wang Feng's Xianming armor to unleash an even stronger chaotic splitting wind hammer technique. Although it was only one hammer, this hammer contained the strength of the blue-silver tyrant spear. A ripple-like wave appeared in the void and landed directly on Wang Feng's back. Wang Feng still didn't move under the immense strength. However, countless ripples appeared on his clothes from the shock. The Xianming armor was close to 40,000 kilograms, but Wang Feng immediately released it. Suddenly, Wang Feng sank at a visible speed. The ground started to crack, and it was as if Wang Feng had suddenly become shorter. End of chapter. Chapter 638. Clang. The sound of metal colliding rang out. This time, the huge force bounced back, but Tang San couldn't use the Haotian hammer or the wild hammering technique. There was a limit to using force against force. Tang San felt that this hammer was much worse than 9-1. X8? Z. Com/bow/. Chapter 1. Discarded son-in-law? God bless my Yi family. Our foundation will be evergreen, and our descendants will be extraordinary. Our descendants will all be dragons and phoenixes among men. The Yi family's matriarch leaned on her dragon-headed walking stick and looked at the Yi family's descendants with gratification. Today was the 60th birthday of the Yi family's helmsman, Lu Fengji. Ever since the Yi family's old master fell seriously ill, the Yi family's matriarch took over the reins and made all the decisions. Those who came to congratulate her were all influential figures in Yin province. At this moment, a long shout rang out. MX/Bo? Yi family's Yi Tan Ming wishes the old madam happiness as boundless as the East Sea and longevity as long as the South Mountain. He presents a jade sea. Qinyuan's chairman Wang Fushan wishes the old madam a long life. He presents a pair of jewels and jade carvings. Fenghai Group's general manager wishes the old madam a long life and good health. He presents a golden plaque. The guests who came and went, looking at the expensive gifts, were all envious. The total value of the gifts this time was probably over 5 million yuan. However, the next voice made the guests somewhat stunned and speechless. Yi family's son-in-law Xiao Yang wishes the old madam a long life. He presents a rusty copper pot. As soon as these words came out, the guests looked at each other in dismay, and then burst into laughter of disdain. Is this Xiao Yang the bastard who married into the Yi family 3 years ago? That's him. I don't know what old Master Yi is thinking. Although Yi Yunshu's father is mediocre, Yi Yunshu is still the Yi family's precious daughter. Why did he betroth her to a nobody? The old madam didn't let him step into the Yi family for 3 years. It's enough to prove her dissatisfaction. Today is the old madam's birthday, but he presents a piece of scrap metal. What a joke! Yi Yunshu was a very beautiful woman. She had a tall figure and dark eyebrows. She was born with a high-class face. But at this moment, her face was covered with haze. X8? Z. Com/B/ she pulled Xiao Yang, who was standing at the side, to a corner. Old Yunshu, what's wrong? Xiao Yang asked, puzzled. Yi Yunshu said angrily, You're asking me what's wrong? Where's the gift I bought for you? Xiao Yang innocently pointed at the copper pot on the big red table. There, that's it. 50,000 yuan, you actually bought a piece of scrap metal. Today is Grandma's birthday, how can you do this? After saying that, Yi Yunshu felt wronged. It had been 3 years. That good-for-nothing had done nothing but stay at home and cook. His cooking was not bad, but what use was that? A real man had to achieve earth-shattering things and achieve unparalleled fame and fortune. That was what a real man was. However, when they looked at Xiao Yang again, he still had an indifferent look on his face, which made them both angry and hateful. X8? Z. Com/bo/take today's matter as an example. Although 50,000 yuan was not much, it was enough to buy a decent gift. But he bought a piece of scrap metal and threw it away at Grandma's birthday banquet. Sure enough, she could not leave such an important matter to Xiao Yang. He was really useless. If it were not for the Yi family's reputation, she might have divorced this good-for-nothing long ago. Yunshu, don't be fooled by the appearance of this copper pot. It's a piece of bronze handed down from the Han dynasty. It's worth at least 50 million yuan. Oh, 50 million yuan? Don't tell me you bought it from the antique street. At this moment, Yi Tanming walked over with a playful smile. Yi Tanming was the Dowager Duchess's most favored grandson. If there were no accidents, Yi Tanming would be in charge of the Yi family in the future. He was naturally aware of this, so he had always thought highly of himself. He especially looked down on his second uncle's family. Because his second uncle was not favored, he went out early to start his own business. He was only allowed to visit the Yi family on important occasions. Xiao Yang glanced at him indifferently and said truthfully, "I bought it from the antique street." As soon as these words came out, the guests roared with laughter. Who doesn't know that the antique street sells 80 to 90% of fake goods? It's fine if you bought a fake, but at least pick a decent one. Look at the gift I prepared for grandmother. Yi Tanming walked to the sea of jade that was half the height of a person. His proud expression was self-evident. Indeed, compared to his gift, Xiao Yang's gift was not worth mentioning. At this moment, the Dowager Duchess walked over with her dragon-headed walking stick. All the relatives and guests stood up respectfully. "Grandma, Xiao Yang is not sensible, please don't blame him. When I go back, I will prepare a decent gift for you." Computer. www.com/Yi Yunshu took a few steps forward and bowed to the Dowager Duchess. Although she and Xiao Yang were only married in name, he was still her husband in name. In front of the relatives, she still had to protect him. The Dowager Duchess looked at the copper pot and showed a disgusted expression. She snorted from her nostrils. "Forget it. Your family doesn't have much money. Stay here and live a good life. Grandson, the birthday banquet is about to start. Help me there." Yi Tanming agreed and hurriedly supported the Dowager Duchess. He did not forget to turn around and give Yi Yunshu a proud look. Yi Yunshu bitterly bit her lips. She wanted to use this birthday banquet to leave a good impression on the Dowager Duchess. It seemed that everything was ruined. She was about to follow when the Dowager Duchess said indifferently, "The main table is full. You don't have to go up." Yi Yunshu stopped in her tracks. A sense of humiliation lingered in her heart. The dignified daughter of the Yi family had to sit with the guests. She felt countless curious gazes on her. Yi Yunshu wished she could leave. She looked at the main table on the stage. Under the spotlight, the banquet was filled with laughter. This kind of difference in treatment showed how much the Dowager Duchess disliked her family. Her father was useless, but he was still a member of the Yi family. Unfortunately, her son-in-law was even more useless. In the Dowager Duchess' eyes, Yi Yunshu's family was completely hopeless. "Yunshu, are you envious?" Xiao Yang asked with a smile. Yi Yunshu impatiently said, "What's the use of being envious? That's the main seat. Only the Dowager Duchess can sit there. What am I worth?" After grandfather fell seriously ill, our whole family moved out. Our lives were getting worse day by day. We wanted to use this opportunity to curry favor with the Dowager Duchess and ask for some resources from the Yi family. But now? Forget it. What's the use of telling you? You don't understand. Yi Yunshu said, feeling wronged. Tears fell from her eyes. Xiao Yang was startled. I don't understand? What? A man with ambition was like a swan swaying the sky. He had never thought of getting involved in the Yi family's affairs. It was not that he did not want to, but that he disdained. Xiao Yang was the founder of the world's #1 secret organization, the Dragon King Palace. People called him the Dragon King. He had 4 seraphs and 12 seraphs under him. He controlled half of the world's power and wealth. It could be said that with a single word from Xiao Yang, not to mention the Yi family, even the major families in the entire Yin province would be annihilated in a flash. He didn't understand? He had been a live-in son-in-law for 3 years. He only wanted to fulfill his long-cherished wish. But now, he regarded Yi Yunshu as his wife. Every time Yi Yunshu came back from the Yi family, she was always smiling. Xiao Yang originally thought that Yi Yunshu should have a certain status in the Yi family. But today, he saw that it was not the case. Thinking of this, Xiao Yang said lightly, Yunshu, if you like, I'll let you sit in that seat. Bo? Chapter 639. Brother Feng's body is truly miraculous. Tang San thought. Could it be because of the 6 immortal herbs he consumed? Tang San felt that it was possible. Oscar looked at the drop of blood and hurriedly used Jinhua sausage. His 6 soul rings lit up. X8? Z. Com/Bo/. Chapter 1. Dethroned Son-in-Law? The heavens bless my Yi family. Our foundation will be evergreen and our descendants will be extraordinary. The Yi family's matriarch leaned on her dragon-headed walking stick and looked at the Yi family's descendants with gratification. Today was the 60th birthday of the Yi family's helmsman, Lu Fengji. Ever since the Yi family's old master fell seriously ill, the Yi family's matriarch took over the reins and made all the decisions. Those who came to celebrate today were all influential figures in the Yin province. At this moment, a long shout rang out. X/Bo? Yi family's Yi Tan-ming wishes the matriarch happiness as great as the East Sea and longevity as long as the South Mountain. He presents a jade sea. Qinyuan's chairman Wang Fushan wishes the matriarch a long life and presents a pair of jewels and jade carvings. Fenghai Group's general manager wishes the matriarch a long life and good health. He presents a golden plaque. The guests who came and went, looking at the expensive gifts, were all envious. The total value of the gifts this time was probably over 5 million yuan. However, the next voice made the guests somewhat stunned and speechless. Yi family's son-in-law Xiao Yang wishes the matriarch a long life and presents a rusty copper pot. As soon as these words came out, the guests looked at each other in dismay, and then burst into a burst of contemptuous laughter. Is this Xiao Yang the bastard who married into the Yi family 3 years ago? That's him. I don't know what the Yi family's old master is thinking. Although Yi Yunshu's father is mediocre, Yi Yunshu is still considered the Yi family's daughter. Yet, she was betrothed to a nobody. The matriarch has not allowed him to step into the Yi family for 3 years. This is enough to prove that she is dissatisfied with him. Today is the matriarch's birthday, yet he presents a piece of scrap metal. What a joke. Yi Yunshu was a very beautiful woman. She had a tall figure and dark eyebrows. She was born with a high-class face. However, at this moment, her face was covered with a haze. X8? Z. Com/B/ She pulled Xiao Yang, who was standing at the side, to a corner. Old Yunshu, what's wrong? Xiao Yang asked, puzzled. Yi Yunshu said angrily, How dare you ask me what's wrong? Where's the gift I bought for you? Xiao Yang innocently pointed at the copper pot on the big red table. There, that's it. 50,000 yuan, you actually bought a piece of scrap metal. Today is Grandma's birthday, how can you do this? After saying that, Yi Yunshu felt wronged. It had been 3 years. That good-for-nothing had done nothing but stay at home and cook. His cooking was not bad, but what use was that? A real man had to achieve earth-shattering things and achieve unparalleled fame and fortune. That was what a real man was. However, when they looked at Xiao Yang again, he still had an indifferent look on his face, which made them both angry and hateful. X8? Z. Com/bo/take today's matter as an example. Although 50,000 yuan was not much, it was enough to buy a decent gift. However, he bought a piece of scrap metal and threw it away at Grandma's birthday banquet. Sure enough, she couldn't leave such an important matter to Xiao Yang. He was really useless. If it weren't for the Yi family's reputation, she might have divorced this good-for-nothing long ago. Yunshu, don't be fooled by this copper pot's appearance. It's a piece of copper passed down from the Han dynasty. It's worth at least 50 million yuan. Oh, 50 million yuan? You didn't buy it from the antique street, did you? At this moment, Yi Tanming walked over with a playful smile. Yi Tanming was the Dowager Duchess's most favored grandson. If there were no accidents, Yi Tanming would be in charge of the Yi family in the future. He was naturally aware of this, so he had always thought highly of himself. He especially looked down on his second uncle's family. Because his second uncle was not favored, he went out early to start his own business. He was only allowed to visit the Yi family on important occasions. Xiao Yang glanced at him indifferently and said truthfully, "I bought it from the antique street." As soon as these words came out, all the guests burst into laughter. Who doesn't know that the antique street sells 80 to 90% of fake goods? It's fine if you bought a fake, but at least pick a decent one. Look at the gift I prepared for grandmother. Yi Tanming walked to the sea of jade that was half the height of a person. His proud expression was self-evident. Indeed, compared to his gift, Xiao Yang's gift was not worth mentioning. At this moment, the Dowager Duchess walked over with her dragon-headed walking stick. All the relatives and guests stood up respectfully. "Grandma, Xiao Yang is insensible, please don't blame him. When I go back, I'll prepare a decent gift for you." Computer. www.com/Yi Yunshu took a few steps forward and bowed to the Dowager Duchess. Although she and Xiao Yang were only married in name, he was still her husband in name. In front of the relatives, she still had to protect him. The Dowager Duchess looked at the copper pot and showed a disgusted expression. She snorted from her nostrils. "Forget it. Your family doesn't have much money. Stay here and live a good life. Grandson, the birthday banquet is about to start. Help me there." Yi Tanming agreed and hurriedly supported the Dowager Duchess. He did not forget to turn around and give Yi Yunshu a proud look. Yi Yunshu bitterly bit her lips. She wanted to use this birthday banquet to leave a good impression on the Dowager Duchess. It seemed that everything was ruined. She was about to follow when the Dowager Duchess said indifferently, "The main table is full. You don't have to go up." Yi Yunshu stopped in her tracks. A sense of humiliation lingered in her heart. The dignified daughter of the Yi family had to sit with the guest. She felt countless curious gazes on her. Yi Yunshu couldn't wait to leave. She looked at the main table on the stage. Under the spotlight, the banquet was filled with laughter. This kind of difference in treatment showed how much the Dowager Duchess disliked her family. Her father was useless, but he was still a member of the Yi family. Unfortunately, her son-in-law was even more useless. In the Dowager Duchess' eyes, Yi Yunshu's family was completely hopeless. "Yunshu, are you envious?" Xiao Yang asked with a smile. Yi Yunshu impatiently said, "What's the use of being envious? That's the main seat. Only the Dowager Duchess can sit there. What am I worth?" After grandfather fell seriously ill, our whole family moved out. Our lives were getting worse day by day. We wanted to use this opportunity to curry favor with the Dowager Duchess and ask for some resources from the Yi family. But now? Forget it. What's the use of telling you? You don't understand. Yi Yunshu said, feeling wronged. Tears fell from her eyes. Xiao Yang was startled. "I don't understand? What? A man with ambition was like a swan swaying the sky. He had never thought of getting involved in the Yi family's affairs. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but that he disdained to do so. Xiao Yang was the founder of the world's #1 secret organization, the Dragon King Palace. People called him the Dragon King. He had 4 great seraphs and 12 great seraphs under him. He controlled half of the world's power and wealth. It could be said that with a single word from Xiao Yang, not to mention the Yi family, even the great families of Yin province would be annihilated in a flash. He didn't understand? He had been a live-in son-in-law for 3 years. He only wanted to fulfill his long-cherished wish. But now, he regarded Yi Yunshu as his wife. Every time Yi Yunshu came back from the Yi family, she was always smiling. Xiao Yang originally thought that Yi Yunshu should have a certain status in the Yi family. But today, he saw that it wasn't the case. Thinking of this, Xiao Yang said lightly, "Yunshu, if you like, I'll let you sit in that seat." Bo? Chapter 640. No matter how talented he is, he's still dead, isn't he? Dai Mubai and Oscar, who had finished fighting, walked over. Wang Feng. Looking at everyone's happy faces, Wang Feng felt that Bibidan's plan was really amazing. It could be said that she had completely achieved her goal. At least now, Tang San and the others really believed that White Popediff was really dead. After a round of fighting, everyone was a little tired. It was almost evening now, so they all went back to rest or go back to cultivate. Wang Feng was also quietly thinking. His identity as White Popediff had been announced to the world, so it was impossible for him to use this identity to get close to Qianrenxue. Bibidan wanted him to help Qianrenxue become the emperor of the Heaven Dou Empire. Bibidan didn't ask him to help directly, but secretly. Obviously, she wasn't in a hurry. The 2 major sects were still intact at this time, which meant that Bibidan would replan many of her plans. Based on Wang Feng's understanding, the martial spirit palace had deeply infiltrated the various kingdoms and duchies of the 2 empires. To exaggerate, as long as they raised their arms, those kingdoms and duchies would definitely turn to the martial spirit palace. But now that the 2 major sects were intact, Bibidan wasn't anxious about the 2 empires for the time being. On the contrary, it was very likely that she would focus on her own strength. As long as she could quickly inherit the deity position and obtain the inheritance, then she could easily achieve these goals. Therefore, Bibidan asked him to help Qianrenxue. Even if he failed, she wouldn't care too much. Thinking of this, Wang Fengxin was suddenly shocked. He gave Bibidan a 100,000-year soul beast and told her to cultivate to become a god. Would Bibidan inherit the deity position in advance? It shouldn't be. As long as she brings me to the Rakshasa's secret realm, I will cause trouble and interrupt her deity position inheritance. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Then, she won't be able to inherit. As for Qianrenxue. Thinking of Qianrenxue, Wang Feng suddenly remembered that he hadn't seen her for a long time. She had appeared when his grandfather was hunting him down, but he hadn't seen her face. Previously, when he revealed himself as White Popediff, he had also encountered Xueqinghe. How about I Bibidan first and unify the entire continent and the 7 sects? Completely shatter Bibidan's ambition. An idea suddenly appeared in Wang Feng's mind. Wang Feng himself was dumbfounded by this thought. It was too absurd. It was simply too absurd. However, it did not seem impossible. Forget it, Wang Feng quickly shook his head. This idea is too funny. Let's talk about it when we have the chance to meet Qianrenxue. He rested at Shrek Academy for a few days. This was especially true for Tang San and the others. They had experienced a long journey in the Great Star Dough Forest, so they had been resting and recuperating in the academy for the past few days. Wang Feng secretly inquired about the situation in the Heaven Dou Imperial Palace. He was also thinking about this idea. There were only 2 descendants of the Snow Knight Emperor in the Heaven Dou Empire. One was Shwechinghe and the other was Avalanche. Avalanche was the prince who had provoked Shrek and the others in the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. He had always been arrogant and looked down on everyone. Wang Feng still remembered the ending of the original novel. However, Wang Feng did not know the ending from the original novel. Just like the ending of the original novel where Tang San became a god, Wang Feng did not know how it happened. However, he found out through various channels. After thinking for a while, Wang Feng remembered that this avalanche seemed to have become the emperor of the Heaven Do Empire. He seemed to have become the biggest winner? It seems like the old poison is indebted to Prince Xue Xing of the imperial family. The last time I came to the Heaven Do Empire, it was the old poison who represented the imperial family, Wang Feng thought for a while. I can ask him when I have the chance. Qian Renshue's acting as Shwechinghe was pretty good. He has many supporters in the imperial family. It seems a little different. A few days later, the Grandmaster said that Douluo, Sect Master Ning, and his father, Yu Yuanzhen of the Blue Lightning Overlord Sect, had all come to the academy. Their purpose was naturally to see him. Shrek Academy Conference Room. Shrek's 7 monsters, Douluo, Sect Master Ning, and Yu Yuanzhen were all present. Little madman, your life is really tough. Although it was the second time he had seen the old poison, it was the first time the old poison had seen him. His face was rosy, his voice was loud, his figure was clear, and his black hair was shiny. He did not look old at all. Instead, he looked a few years younger. Obviously, he had succeeded in his cultivation. Wang Feng sensed that the old poison's soul power had improved after being abused by him last time. He was already at rank 94 and was charging towards rank 95. It was probably the effect of the heaven-scented cloud radish's root. The old poison came over to hug Wang Feng. However, he was sent flying by Wang Feng's punch. Old poison, why is your body still so weak? Wang Feng laughed and said, you didn't find a partner either. Wang Feng's punch was quite powerful. Although the old poison was a titled Douluo, Wang Feng's current strength was different from the past. Douluo stood up and rubbed his chest. He couldn't help but laugh as he scolded Huiyuhao, you little lunatic, you're really a freak. You've grown even stronger over the past 5 years. 5 years ago you could already fight titled Douluo on your own. I'm afraid even I can't beat you now, right? I couldn't beat you 5 years ago either, Wang Feng said. Douluo's mouth twitched. The rest of the people laughed out loud. With Wang Feng's state 5 years ago, Douluo might not be able to defeat him. Now it was even more impossible. Old poison, you should be very strong now. Tang San comforted him. He had seen Douluo 2 days ago, but today there was an important matter, so he called them together. Little Feng, long time no see. At this moment Ning Fengji smiled and said, if not for your note and that bone spike we would have been destroyed. The 7 treasure glazed tile sect might have been destroyed. Over the past 5 years we've been looking for news about you. Now that we know that you're still alive, we're really happy. Wang Feng had saved the sect. This was not a small favor. With the 5 titled Douluo and the white-robed Popetiff's strength, even if there were 2 titled Douluo, he might not be able to escape unscathed. Wang Feng smiled and pointed at the sword Douluo and the bone Dalu. If not for the 2 of them, my news alone would not have been of much use. Thanks to your prompt response and proper handling, the 7 treasure glazed tile sect was able to survive. Ning Fengji laughed out loud. Kid, aren't you usually very capable? Why are you so humble now? The sword Douluo was still dressed in white, and his white hair fluttered in the wind. He stared at Wang Feng for a moment, and there was a strange look in his eyes. Kid, your strength is extraordinary now. Even I can't tell how strong you are. Wang Feng could use his Shadowmist at any time, so even the sword Douluo could not tell how strong he was. The sword Douluo was about to reach rank 97, and he was just 1 step away. Chapter 641. If that's the case. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, then I won't hold back. Uncle Ning, how about your 7 treasure glazed tile sect change your surname to Wang? Ning Fengji. Sword Douluo. The Bone Douluo laughed hoarsely. Brother Feng, you're still so direct. Tang San and the others couldn't help but laugh. Only Ning Rongrong's face was flushed red as she shyly glared at Wang Feng. You're Wang Feng? You're indeed a straightforward person. This old man likes people like you who don't hide their thoughts. At this moment Yu Yuanjin walked over. His eyes were full of smiles, and his slightly aged face gave people a feeling of vitality. There are very few young people like you nowadays. Wang Feng nodded. I think so too. You're Yu Yuanjin, sect master Yu, right? Teacher's father. According to seniority, I should call you Grandpa Yu. The last time they met was at the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Wang Feng still had a rather good impression of this Yu Yuanjin. From his fighting style last time, he felt that Yu Yuanjin should be a straightforward person who liked to be simple and straightforward. Yu Yuanjin always wanted to win with one move against the white-clothed Popetiff in his own home ground. He didn't use any fancy moves. He was very much to Wang Feng's liking. Ha ha ha, you don't have to be so respectful. Yu Yuanjin waved his hand and said, your news not only saved the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. You indirectly saved the lives of more than 1,000 people in the Blue Lightning Overlord clan. I'm here to thank you. Wang Feng smiled. You don't have to be so anxious. Wang Feng continued, since everyone is here today, then. Little San, you first. Tang San nodded and walked out slowly. Sect Master Ning, Sect Master Yu, I'm sure everyone knows that the situation on the continent is changing rapidly. You should know what the Martial Spirit Palace is thinking. They have no scruples about killing the 2 sects directly. Think about it. If the 2 sects were destroyed and the Supreme Sky sect did not appear, who would their next target be? Everyone was slightly startled and immediately quieted down. Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanjin looked solemn. The 2 empires, of course. Ma Hongjun picked his nose. If even a carefree fellow like him could think of this, how could others not? Moreover, the conflict between the 2 empires and the Martial Spirit Palace was not new. They had been fighting all this time, but they were in a situation where the 3 sides were in a temporary balance. That was why they had been holding back. The Martial Spirit Palace's intention, or the Pope's intention, is obvious. A cold light flashed across Tang San's eyes. She wants the Martial Spirit Palace to be above everything. The meeting room was silent. I believe that no force on the continent can resist the Martial Spirit Palace. Tang San looked at Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanjin. Indeed, neither the 2 empires nor any sect could compete with the Martial Spirit Palace. Half a year ago, that white Popetiff inspected the Martial Spirit Palace on the continent, including the 7 sections. In fact, they already had this intention. Dugubo shook his head and said, now that white Popetiff is dead, the Martial Spirit Palace's plan is ruined. They may not do anything for the time being, but next time, it will be a tsunami-like attack. They won't give us any time to breathe. After all, they must know that the little crazy kid is still alive. Everyone looked at Wang Feng. Wang Feng and the Martial Spirit Palace had a great feud when they were in the Pope's palace. Bibidon found an excuse to stay, and then mobilized the 9 titled Dalu. But in the end, Wang Feng ruined it. So, we need to unite now. Tang San said, at least we can't let the Martial Spirit Palace continue to be so arrogant. Ning Fengji nodded slightly and said, I agree. The Martial Spirit Palace is very powerful. No force can go against them. Only by uniting will the Martial Spirit Palace not dare to act recklessly. Yu Yuanjin pondered for a moment and said, if it was in the past, the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect would have remained neutral. But now I agree to unite. The 4 lower sects have become the Martial Spirit Palace's claws and teeth. If it's us, the three upper sects, will be destroyed sooner or later. These two sections. The seven treasure glaze tile sect had at least 3,000 soul masters. The blue lightning tyrant sect had more than 2,000 soul masters. They were the top forces on the continent. In other empires, it was not easy for any family to have more than 100 soul masters. If it's just the two sects, it won't be enough, Dai Mubai suddenly said. With the influence of the martial spirit palace, many principalities of the two empires have been infiltrated. I'm very clear about this. Dai Mubai was the crown prince of the Star Luo Empire. He naturally knew that many duchies and kingdoms in the Star Luo Empire were also dependent on the martial spirit palace. As long as the martial spirit palace raised its arm, these duchies and kingdoms would fall to the martial spirit palace's side. So, we still need to unite the two empires. Tang San looked at Douluo and said slowly, "The Shrek Academy has many outstanding soul masters sent by the royal family. It's obvious that they're vigilant." On the Star Luo Empire's side, Mubai agrees. Zhu Qing is now in charge of the Star Luo Empire's #1 family. So we have to unite with the Heaven Do Empire? That's simple. Ma Hongjun continued, "We've always been close to the Heaven Do Empire. How easy is it to unite with them?" They had this intention too. Tang San shook his head. It's not that simple. The Star Luo Empire and the Heaven Do Empire have always been at odds. It's too difficult to unite and deal with the martial spirit palace together. The grudges between the two empires couldn't be resolved so easily. It was already good enough that the two sects agreed to unite. That's right. Dai Mubai coughed a few times. Although I'm the crown prince of the Star Luo Empire, the Star Luo Empire is divided into many factions. It won't be easy for those stubborn fellows to unite with the Heaven Do Empire. Hearing this, Wang Fengxin thought, actually, it's not bad if the Douluo world can be unified? Wang Feng couldn't help but have that thought, but it felt too ridiculous. Now that he thought about it, it was still a little unrealistic. But Wang Feng vaguely felt that this could be a general direction. I remember Crown Prince Xueqinghe. Hasn't he always valued Little Three and Captain? Oscar interrupted. He's the Crown Prince and Sect Master Ning's disciple. With his support, the Heaven Do Empire should be easier to deal with, right? Tang San and the others were stunned. Only then did they remember that Xueqinghe seemed to have this relationship with Ning Fengji. Chapter 642. The Crown Prince has treated the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect well. Ning Fengji said, after the Seven Treasures Glazed Fortress was destroyed by the Martial Spirit Palace, the Crown Prince gave us a piece of land in a beautiful place outside the city to rebuild the Seven Treasures Glazed Fortress. Furthermore, the Snowy Night Emperor has already retired and the Crown Prince is in charge of many things. If he supports us, it will be easy. Wang Fengxin was shocked. The Qian Renxue has already reached this stage? The Snowy Night Emperor's retirement means that he is in charge. This means that the Qian Renxue doesn't need any help to become the emperor and control the entire Heaven Do Empire. Xueqinghe, at this moment, Douluo lightly shook his head. This Xueqinghe is no simple character. He has roped in Prince Xuexing and me. The Heaven Do Empire's imperial family listens to him. Wang Feng, the Qian Renxue has already reached this stage? Wang Feng remembered that Prince Xuexing was Xueqinghe's opponent. He supports Prince Xuebeng. He was the one who asked Prince Xuexing to ask me to step in. Douluo's eyes flashed. This person has great talent and vision. He might not agree to this. Douluo's high evaluation surprised Wang Feng. Wang Feng recalled how he met the Qian Renxue and felt that something was wrong. Do you know what Xueqinghe did after the White Popedif humiliated the imperial family? Douluo smiled. After he returned, he reported this matter to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy and all the imperial family disciples, making them feel ashamed. He even led all the imperial family disciples into confinement for half a month as punishment. He will be out soon. At the same time, Xue Qinghe also removed the Heaven Do Imperial Academy and all the other duchy's noble disciples. He set many rules for the Heaven Do Imperial Academy and changed the academy's internal structure 3 to 4 years ago. After that incident with White Popedif, the younger generation of royal family disciples obeyed Xue Qinghe's orders. Many Earth Trench officials also praised him greatly. The Snow Knight Emperor admires him even more. It is precisely because of the matter with White Popedif that the Snow Knight Emperor has decided to set a date and pass the throne to her. But she's still pushing it away, saying that Xue Yi can still be in office for a few more years and that there's no need to rush. But compared to Xue Yi the Great's intention to pass on the throne, it's already hard to change her mind. Wang Feng, so I was the one who made her successful? Wang Feng could not help but gasp. It seemed that Qianrenxue was just like her mother. She was not easy to deal with. Wang Feng had thought that he had humiliated the Heaven Do Empire's royal family that day. As the crown prince, if Xue Qinghe did not handle this matter properly, he would lose the trust of the crown prince. He did not expect to be used by Qianrenxue. Later on, the throne was even more of a game of cat and mouse. Anyway, it could not run away. It seems that Bibidon has no intention of urging Qianrenxue to seize the throne because of the failure of the soul hunt. Instead, she allowed Qianrenxue to do what he wants and the effect is better. Wang Fengxin could not help but secretly shake his head. Bibidon was probably not far from what he had guessed. She did not want to be in a hurry to unify the continent. In addition, the failure of the soul hunt had caused a series of chain reactions that led to the current situation. Wang Feng scratched his head. Should I instigate Qianrenxue to rebel? This idea popped up in Wang Feng's mind. It seemed that it was not impossible. Qianrenxue did not get along with her mother, but he should still have some feelings for the martial spirit palace, right? After all, the martial spirit palace served the angel god. Qianrenxue had the angel martial spirit and his grandfather was the great elder of the martial spirit palace. It's too difficult. At this moment, a figure suddenly remembered. Brother Feng, what do you think? Everyone looked at Wang Feng, who was still in a daze. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, "Alliance is necessary. But you said that the martial spirit palace wants to be above everything. To put it more accurately, the martial spirit palace wants to unify the continent." After finishing his words, the room became quiet again. How is this possible? Ma Hongjun was surprised. The martial spirit palace is not that ambitious, right? Why not? Wang Feng continued. More than 70% of the soul masters on the continent are directly related to the martial spirit palace. Their strength is distributed in every city of the two empires. They have at least tens of thousands of soul masters. They are not ordinary soldiers, but soul masters. Wang Feng did not mention the specific number. It would be more frightening if he said it out loud. Ma Hongjun was suddenly speechless. What kind of concept was tens of thousands of soul masters? A mouthful of saliva from each of them could kill him. What Lin Feng said is really possible. Ning Fengji thought with rapt attention. As the head of a sect, he was naturally more sensitive to the situation on the continent. Wild ambition. Yu Yuanjin could not help but shake his head. The others were also silent. In fact, there are two ways to solve the wild ambition of the martial spirit palace. Wang Feng coughed and said. Everyone immediately sat up straight and listened with their own ears. First, it's very simple. Wang Feng glanced at everyone. In fact, the martial spirit palace is not the only one with wild ambition, but one person. I think you all know this person. She is Pope Bibidon. As long as we can catch her, or dispel her idea, or be ruthless and make her disappear, then everything will go back to the original track. Tang San nodded and said in a cold tone, without a leader, The martial spirit palace is unlikely to act like this without her. But it's too difficult. Of course it's difficult. She is inheriting the godhood now, and I can't even kill her, Wang Fengxin said. Let alone catching her. It's harder than killing her. As for dispelling Bibidan's idea, it's more difficult than the first two. With Bibidan's will and mind, it's impossible to change her mind. It's good enough that she didn't change her mind. What's the second way? Tang San asked. The second way, Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, doesn't Bibidan want to unify the continent? She seems to be planning for some reason. We can be one step ahead of her and quietly unify the continent to deal with her. In this way, she won't fail, right? Hearing this, everyone was petrified. How quick-witted! Then, everyone couldn't help but laugh. Wang Feng, this is even more ridiculous than the first way. Ning Rongrong couldn't help laughing. This is even more impossible. Even Ning Rongrong couldn't see it, let alone the others. Wang Feng said with a smile, you may think it's impossible, but the general trend of the world is that long unity must be divided, and long division must be united. The two empires and the martial spirit palace have been fighting for a long time. In the end, the ones who will be hurt are the soul masters and more ordinary people, right? I think the unification of the continent is inevitable. Chapter 643. A unified situation can allow all the soul masters and people of the entire continent to live in a stable environment. Then, it is inevitable that all walks of life will develop to different degrees in the future. Without the restrictions of national boundaries, the soul masters of the two great empires can communicate and learn from each other. The soul master world will definitely be more prosperous in the future. Wang Feng glanced at everyone and looked at the master. Master, do you know why no one knows about your 10 great research theories of martial souls, although they are famous in the soul master world? You can ask the soul masters of the Star Luo Empire. Do they know? Do you know why? The master was shocked and replied, because there are too few people studying it. Yes. Wang Feng nodded. Think about it, if the continent is unified and rules are set, there will be specialized talents to study it together with you and verify it. Once the two empires and the martial spirit palace are unified, there are so many people on the continent. You can always find like-minded people, right? What will the result be? It will promote the progress of the soul master world. The master said slowly. That's the truth. Wang Feng continued. Another example is Sect Master Ning, your 7 treasure glazed tile sect. After the continent is unified, you can not only absorb the elite soul masters of the empires, but also the elite soul masters of the Star Luo Empire. After all, after the unification, there will be no separation. They will all be talents of the same country. Although there will be battles, this kind of battle can promote development, not a life and death battle. Isn't this more beneficial for the development of your sect? Ning Fengji nodded and vaguely felt that Wang Feng's words seemed to be quite reasonable. The continent will be unified and developed in a centralized way. From all aspects it will slowly be unified. Perhaps there will be conflicts due to running in, but the final result will definitely be prosperity and development in the future. The premise is that there must be a good leader and a group of talents to assist him. Wang Feng was looking at this matter from a higher point of view. From the beginning of Wang Feng's mind, although he felt that it was ridiculous on one hand, on the other hand, he felt that it was not impossible. Because no matter from what perspective, the unification of the Douluo world was a historical inevitability. Wang Feng felt it when he traveled the continent before. According to history, the two empires and the martial spirit palace had been fighting for hundreds of years. Especially after Bibi Dan became the pope, the conflict reached its peak. Wang Feng thought about the history of his country in his previous life. Usually, at this time, there would be a unification and enter the next dynasty. It was time for the Douluo world to enter the next era. Or, even if they could crush Bibidon to death, it wouldn't take long for them to unify the continent. He only said that it depended on who the leader was. Of course, Wang Feng had no interest in this. He felt that if he checked in a few more places, he might have to leave. Naturally, he had no interest in becoming the ruler of this continent. Wang Feng felt that it was normal for him to say such words. Perhaps the people here had a high status. For example, Ning Fengji and Wang Feng, if one were to compare their status. White Robe Poptif, one of the 5 great overlords of the land of extreme north, and the master of the 4 lower sects, should be comparable to them. In terms of foresight, Wang Feng definitely surpassed him by far. He was a transmigrator. When looking at many things, he naturally stood from a very high point of view, comparing with his previous life and so on. At this moment, after listening to Wang Feng's words, everyone looked at Wang Feng dumbfoundedly. It was very quiet. After a while, although I don't quite understand, I feel that what the little madman said seems to be very reasonable. Zhao Wuji touched his head. Everyone, Ning Fengji looked at Wang Feng. Even with his experience, he couldn't see through this 20-year-old child. Was this really something that a 20-year-old young man could say? The rest of the people, including Yu Yuanjin, also looked at Wang Feng in the same way. His eyes flickered and he was silent. He seemed to be calculating and analyzing Wang Feng's word. The master and several other teachers of the academy looked at Wang Feng with a shocked face. To be reasonable, these words were slightly shocking. For them, it was also an extremely strange domain. After all, normal people would think that unifying the continent was a bad thing because one side wanted to start a war to satisfy their ambitions. But from the point of view of Wang Feng's words, unifying the continent was a great thing. It could promote the development of the world of soul masters and let more people study, verify, and announce master's theory to the world. This was a great thing. Captain is really a magical person, Dai Mubai murmured. In fact, his father, the emperor of the Star Luo Empire, had said similar words to him when he was young. But it wasn't as detailed as Wang Feng. He only said that unifying the continent was his lifelong dream, and the benefits far outweighed the disadvantages. Tang San also looked at Wang Feng with a shocked face. For a moment, he was silent. He could understand this. At this time, after listening to Wang Feng, he also felt that his previous thoughts were too simple. He also felt that Wang Feng's second idea was full of a dreamy feeling. I feel that, it seems to make some sense. Oscar and Ma Hongjun looked at Wang Feng and then looked at each other. Wang Feng, I was wrong. Ning Rongrong looked at Wang Feng with stars in her eyes. I feel that you are right. She felt that the current Wang Feng was very charming. On the other side, Zhu Zhuqing also felt the same. She was silent, but her eyes were full of splendor. At this moment, everyone was the same. At first, they felt that Wang Feng's second idea was a bit ridiculous, but now it seemed to make some sense. Of course, it's not that simple to unify the continent. Wang Feng coughed a few times. But I provide a way. We can do it step by step, but the main goal is to go in this direction. Simply speaking, this was a general direction that couldn't be changed. Everything had to go in this direction. Instead of focusing on dealing with the Martial Spirit Palace, they had set their sights on the Martial Spirit Palace. Little lunatic, if I didn't know you well. I even doubted whether you really have such ambition. Dugubo laughed. Unify the continent, you said that. According to what you said, aren't we the same as the Martial Spirit Hall? Aren't we the same as the Bibidon? There is a difference. Tang San shook his head and said, Brother Feng said that if we want to do what he said, we need a wise leader and a group of supporting talents. Bibidon is purely ambitious. She is evil by nature. In order to achieve her goal, she will do anything, including killing the 2 sects directly. She is not a wise leader. If we let her unify the continent, the final result will be needless to say. Bibidon is a ruthless person, but she is not a wise leader. Tang San looked at everyone. He wanted to see what they thought. P.S. 9 chapters. Please count votes. Chapter 644. In fact, what Wang Feng said wasn't just to deal with Bibidon. He wasn't interested in unifying the continent. He just wanted to give the people of this Douluo world a way of thinking. Unifying the continent was too complicated and involved many aspects. Little Three said that because he had a grudge with Bibidon. In fact, any unification was completed through countless mountains of corpses and seas of blood. It would not be easy to make the two opposing empires submit to him. Wang Feng was naturally clear about this. He felt that he wasn't cut out for that. Cultivating peacefully and becoming stronger was the most important thing. However, the people present were all at the pinnacle of the continent. Whether it was Ning Fengji, Yu Yuanzhen, or the crown prince of an empire like Dai Mubai, they were all existences that could change the direction of the continent. As long as they were given such a way of thinking, the future Douluo world might really change and complete the unification earlier. This was the purpose of Wang Feng's words. He just said this in the name of dealing with Bibidon. There was also a deeper thought. It was equivalent to planting a seed in their hearts. Whether it could really grow and germinate would depend on the future. But it had to be said that the shock brought by these words was still there. What Lin Feng said is somewhat reasonable, Ning Fengji muttered, but it's still too far away and too difficult. But if there really is a peerless figure in the future who can unify the continent, I think our 7 treasure glazed tile sect won't refuse. The premise is that we can be convinced. Years of fighting is really unfavorable for development. Ning Fengji's words were actually very moderate. It seemed to agree, but in fact, he said to look at the future. But who knows what the future will be like? But it was also a kind of attitude. Yu Yuanzhen laughed and said, Wang Feng, although what you said is a bit fake, it is indeed true. But unifying the continent is too complicated. If it's just a goal, I support your view. Wang Feng smiled. These 2 sect masters were obviously not easy to deal with. Yu Yuanzhen's words meant that he supported Wang Feng's view in spirit. As for the reality, Wang Feng didn't think that with a few words, he would be able to fool these 2 into exclaiming and being hellbent on doing so. That was not realistic. Wang Feng thought and said, unifying the continent is too complicated and far away. How about the 3 upper sects unite first, so that you can have the ability to protect yourselves when facing the martial spirit palace? Hearing this, Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanzhen nodded. They agreed with this point very much and could even put it into action immediately. Wang Feng looked at Tang San. Tang San nodded and said slowly, the Clear Sky sect doesn't want to come out. Therefore, I want to establish a sect called the Tang sect. Sect Master Ning, presumably, also knows that I'm good at making a variety of exquisite concealed weapons. These concealed weapons can be used to deal with powerful soul masters. My Tang sect can produce these hidden weapons for the disciples of the 2 sects, but the prerequisite is that we need your support. Wang Feng already knew what Tang San was thinking in the past 2 days. Establishing the Tang sect. It could be said that Tang San was the first to tell Wang Feng about this idea. Of course, Wang Feng felt that there was no problem. Moreover, this was probably the dream of a mistress in this world. Men with dreams were worthy of support. Unlike him, Wang Feng's dream was very simple. It was to clock in, improve his strength, show off, and this was also the first step. In fact, if they really wanted to unify the continent, Tang San's concealed weapons were really indispensable. It was also the first step to establish a force. The reason why Wang Feng said that was to let Tang San know what to do. The Tang sect? Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanzhen looked at each other with a serious look. Ning Fengji knew the power of Tang San's concealed weapons. Yu Yuanzhen also knew a little about it from the disciples of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. That's right. Tang San nodded. If they wanted to unite the two sects, there must be a person whom they could trust. In other words, who would be in charge? Who would be in charge? Ning Fengji and Yu Yuanjun obviously knew what Tang San was thinking. Although you are the disciple that Xiao Jiang is proud of, Yu Yuanjun said indifferently. Yu Yuanjun said faintly, but you have to establish a sect first. Your hidden weapons alone are not enough for us to support you. Ning Fengji also nodded slowly. What kind of status did the two sects have? How could they support a newly established sect? Dad, since third brother wants to establish a sect, it's okay for you to support him, Ning Rongrong persuaded. Since third brother wants to establish a sect, I'll be the first to join. Oscar stepped forward and said with certainty. Me too. Ma Hongjun imitated Ming's words and chuckled. But his eyes were very serious. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing did not say anything. Their status was special now, so they could not agree casually. Otherwise, it would be irresponsible to the forces behind them. If they were free people, they would definitely agree immediately. Grandmaster and the other teachers were students of Shrek Academy. Now that Shrek had the support of the Heaven Do imperial family, they could not join just like that. They still needed to think about it carefully. Third brother wants to establish a powerful sect. Ning Fengji thought for a moment and said, everything else is secondary. To put it simply, does your Tang sect have a titled Douluo? Yu Yuanjun nodded. Without a titled Douluo, it was useless no matter how strong you were. Look at the top forces on the continent. They did not even have a titled Douluo. Why not? Tang San suddenly smiled and looked at Wang Feng. Brother Feng is the first elder of our Tang sect. He can at least be compared to a titled Douluo, right? Wang Feng coughed a few times. Yu Yuanjun and Ning Fengji did not say anything. A sole emperor over rank 60? Yu Yuanjun scratched his head. Although he indirectly saved our two sects, can he be compared to a titled Douluo? Ning Fengji thought, you don't know what happened in the pontiff's palace 5 years ago. This kid could fight two titled Douluo alone back then. 5 years later, he must be even stronger. However, Ning Fengji felt that the situation back then was a little exaggerated. This kid must have used some special method to be able to fight two titled Douluo alone back then. Indeed. At this moment, the sword Douluo suddenly smiled and said, Brother Yu, this kid is indeed comparable to a titled Douluo. Perhaps even those ordinary titled Douluo are no match for him now. Yu Yuanjun was shocked to hear this. What kind of person is the sword Douluo? If that's the case, then we can consider it. Yu Yuanjun frowned slightly. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect was indebted to Wang Feng. If Wang Feng really was a titled Douluo and supported the Tang sect, he could agree. The elders of the sect would not be able to say anything. Ning Fengji's heart stirred. Sect Master Yu, why don't you try it yourself? End of chapter. Chapter 645. I don't think that's a good idea. Yu Yuanjun hesitated. After all, he is the benefactor of our Blue Lightning Tyrant sect. You also know that my martial soul is the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect's dragon, which is inclined towards ferocity and tyranny. What if I accidentally hurt him? Hearing this, Shrek and the others revealed strange smiles on their faces. Yu Yuanjun was at rank 96 and possessed the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon martial soul. Among titled Douluo, there were very few who could match him. Naturally, he was very strong. He wasn't much weaker than the sword Douluo. Wang Feng glanced at Ning Fengji. Rongrong's father is really cunning. Does he want Yu Yuanjun to see my current strength? Wang Feng felt that it was a good idea for Tang San to let him be the Tang sect's backer. As the Grand Elder, his status was the same as the Grand Deacon of the Martial Spirit Hall, 1000 Daos Lu. Although his current strength couldn't compare to 1000 Daos Lu's, he was still very strong. It's fine. Ning Fengji waved his hand. I'm here. I'll treat all of you. Sect Master Yu, don't worry about it. Besides, this kid has very strong healing abilities. Don't worry about it. Wang Feng. Wang Feng muttered to himself as he looked at Yu Yuanjun. Previously, he had used the cauldron of heaven and earth to make it difficult for any titled Douluo to unleash their martial soul true bodies, and their powers had been reduced by 30 to 40%. If he didn't use the cauldron of heaven and earth, it wouldn't be easy for him to defeat them with only the first 4 forms of the chaotic green lotus. It couldn't be helped. The cauldron of heaven and earth was too strong. Wang Feng had been able to use the power of the blood mark to fight many transcendent Douluo as White Pope Diff. Without the cauldron of heaven and earth, Wang Feng wouldn't have been able to defeat the sword Douluo, bone Douluo, and Yu Yuanjun. Alright. Yu Yuanjun stood up from his seat and said in a loud voice, Wang Feng, if you can spar with this old man and show me your strength, my Blue Lightning Overlord sect will support the Tang sect. We'll unite the 3 sects to deal with the martial spirit hall. No problem, Wang Feng said. The group walked to the square of the inner court. The renovated plaza was only suitable for high-level soul masters to spar. Because the destructive power of a high-grade soul master was much greater, they naturally needed a sturdier arena as the battlefield. We should be able to see Big Brother Feng's strength now, right? Tang San pondered. Last time in the Great Star Do Forest, the battle was too strange and fast. I didn't see anything. The Great Star Do Forest and the Phantom Doulu. It could be said that Wang Feng's victory was entirely due to the Red Lotus Hellfire. This was because his other abilities were useless against the Phantom Douluo. If he didn't have the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, Wang Feng would have been helpless against the Phantom Douluo. In the center of the square, the ground was made of sturdy black rocks mixed with special refined iron. It was suffused with layers of dark luster. Yu Yuanjun stood on one side and looked at Wang Feng, his eyes flashing. He had heard of the 2 names, 9-1 Open and Wang Feng. His sects Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin had both been defeated by him. He had originally thought that he was just a young genius. But now, it seemed that the other party could no longer be described as a young genius. At rank 60, he was already comparable to a titled Doulu. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that this was unprecedented. However, Yu Yuanjun had no intention of going easy on him. 9 soul rings slowly lit up from Yu Yuanjun's body. The blue lightning tyrant dragon that Wang Feng had seen before appeared again. The blue lightning dragon pulsed with a terrifying aura. Everyone watched with rapt attention. Yu Yuanjun was a famous titled Douluo on the continent. He was also Master's father. His strength didn't even need any introduction. Wang Fengxin did some calculations in his mind. He took a deep breath and turned his hand. A golden lotus appeared and a pitch-black soul ring appeared. Deification. Immediately, the golden lotus disappeared and a black lotus appeared. It was still a black 10,000-year soul ring. Thorn lotus. Finally, the black lotus transformed into the soul-slaying spear. With the spear in his hand, a faint black wave spread out from Wang Feng's body. A scarlet 100,000-year soul ring appeared around the soul-slaying spear. Soul-devouring blood wings. After adding the status, the soul ring slowly disappeared. Everyone was stunned. 100,000-year soul ring? Master couldn't help but gasp. Little Feng also has a 100,000-year soul ring? Several teachers were really shocked. Tang San had a 100,000-year soul ring because of Xiao Wu's sacrifice. Otherwise, how could he absorb a 100,000-year soul ring at that level? And in Master's impression, Wang Feng's 4th soul ring was only 60,000 year. When did it become a 100,000-year soul ring? In the past 5 years, it seems that Little Feng also had some cultivation and opportunities. Master murmured. Master had discovered the increase in the age of Wang Feng's soul ring long ago. At first, his first soul ring was only 1,000 year, but it had already become 10,000-year soul ring. Master was sure that soul rings generally couldn't be upgraded, but it wasn't absolute. Good boy, I haven't seen him for 5 years and he even has a 100,000-year soul ring? Could this be the result of evolution? 5 years ago, his spear added a 10,000-year soul ring. Ningfengji clapped his hands. I knew this boy would change in the past 5 years. I don't know how he escaped from the pontiff's palace back then. For Ningfengji and the others, this was the first time they saw Wang Feng appear. Even for Tang San and the others, they were surprised to see him in the great Star Do forest. But at this moment, no one was in the mood to talk, and their eyes were focused on the square. Especially Tang San. He couldn't help but think of the scene in the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect when white-clothed Popetiff fought Yu Yuanjin. At that time, Yu Yuanjin didn't use his martial soul true body. Instead, he used a 6-ringed fusion skill to fight white-clothed Popetiff. In the end, he was defeated. But now a Wang Feng, who was in full condition, exuded a monstrous aura. The soul-slaying spear had a 100,000-year soul ring, which was added by the system. It should have given birth to a second soul skill. But it didn't seem to have been born. Instead, it doubled the enhancement of the soul-devouring blood wings. This made Wang Feng's current enhancement completely exceed the enhancement of the blood patterns. In addition, he had obtained a new 100,000-year soul ring. Although Wang Feng didn't use it, the enhancement brought by the 100,000-year soul ring was still there. In other words, his current increase in strength was even greater than that of the white-clothed Pope back then. But if he didn't use the cauldron of heaven and earth, it meant that he wasn't much stronger in front of Yu Yuanjin. Let's end this quickly. Wang Feng's eyes focused, and he entered the empty realm state for a long time. But now, Wang Feng felt a little different when he entered the empty realm state. Because Wang Feng's current spiritual power was far stronger than before. Not only did it condense into a physical body, but it also formed a stream of water, and its level was much higher. In addition, Wang Feng cultivated the front secret word, so the empty realm state had a special battle state that Wang Feng couldn't imagine. End of chapter. Chapter 646. At this moment, Yu Yuanjin had already used his 7th soul skill, Martial Soul True Body. Clearly, Yu Yuanjin had also sensed Wang Feng's aura, but he had no intention of testing it out. This was also Wang Feng's first time seeing the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon's true body. Yu Yuanjin disappeared from the spot, and the lightning-flashing blue dragon transformed into a lightning dragon that was at least 60 meters long. Several soul rings on its body flickered. In the sky, Yu Yuanjin's appearance could be seen from the dragon's head, but at this time, he had merged with the Blue Thunder Dragon. Everyone couldn't help but gasp when they saw this. Wang Feng was also stunned. It was too long, too big. This thing looked just like the deified dragons in his previous life. It really did have that kind of meaning. This is the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon's martial soul true body? Wang Feng murmured. Wang Feng naturally knew the power of a martial soul true body. Wang Feng still remembered Tang Hao's hammer strike from the pontiff. 100-meter hammer. Yu Yuanjin had transformed into a true Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon that was dozens of meters long, and its power was suffocating. Yu Yuanjin's martial soul true body flickered with lightning as it soared into the sky, causing the clouds to surge. Roar. A loud dragon roar suddenly came from the dragon's mouth. Everyone subconsciously covered their ears, and they felt their hearts tremble. The soul power in their bodies trembled rapidly, and even the spectators were affected. At the same time, a bluish-purple light shone from the dragon's body and covered the entire square. It's the lightning domain. The sword Douluo frowned slightly. This is the old dragon's 9th soul skill, and it can only be used in his martial soul true body state. There were different types of domains. One was an innate talent domain that could be used by releasing one's martial soul, not a soul skill. For example, the sword Douluo's 7 kills domain and Tang San's blue-silver domain. The other type was the 9th soul skill, which could be used to create a soul skill domain. In the lightning domain, all of his soul skills will be strengthened by 30%, the sword Douluo continued. At the same time, the power of his opponent's soul skills will be weakened by 30%, and his soul power will be easily attracted by the power of lightning. His entire body will also enter a state of paralysis. It's an extremely powerful offensive domain. Even though it wasn't an innate domain, it was still stronger than an innate domain as his 9th soul skill. Wang Feng was weakened by this domain, but he only felt a slight ripple in his soul force, and nothing serious happened. However, the amplification effect of his soul skill had indeed weakened. What a powerful domain! Wang Fengxian thought that Yu Yuanzhen's true strength was indeed very strong. As soon as his martial soul true body appeared, his combat prowess increased exponentially. From this, one could see how powerful the divine cosmos light was. If he were to use the divine light of heaven and earth, the 60-meter-long dragon would immediately turn into a small worm, and its strength would be greatly reduced. Wang Feng was a little excited to spar with a transcendent Douluo who had truly unleashed their martial soul true bodies. The blood wings on his back flapped slightly. Wang Feng turned into a beam of black blood light. The soul-killing spear in his hand was spinning. Without any fancy moves, he stabbed at Yu Yuanzhen. He had practiced the spear technique for a long time in the land of the extreme north. Even the most ordinary move contained great power. Under the Void Realm, even Yu Yuanzhen's movements were slow in Wang Feng's eyes. If not for the influence of the Thunder Realm, Wang Feng's speed would have been even faster. However, as soon as Wang Feng moved, Yu Yuanzhen's 4th soul ring flashed. Yu Yuanzhen's 4th soul ring suddenly flashed. Bolts of bluish-purple lightning suddenly appeared around Yu Yuanzhen's enormous blue dragon. They formed rings of lightning that revolved around his body and formed a special aura. 5th soul skill, countercurrent lightning ring. Even with Wang Feng's speed, the moment he got close to Yu Yuanzhen, his speed was reduced by a few notches. His entire body stopped. However, this spear still landed on the bluish-purple lightning dragon. There was an explosion of energy, and several purple dragon scales were sent flying. On the dragon head, Yu Yuanzhen was slightly startled. The countercurrent lightning ring could circle around his body. Any enemy who attacked him would have their speed reduced by more than 80%. They would also be attacked by the countercurrent lightning ring. Under the influence of the Thunder Realm, any enemy who was faster than him, even an agility type titled Douluo, would find it very difficult to pass through his countercurrent lightning ring. It would be even more difficult for them to attack him. He didn't expect Wang Feng to be able to attack him easily after pausing for a moment. The golden lightning on his body can negate most of my lightning rings. Yu Yuanzhen immediately judged. This kid is too fast. He's over rank 60. The soul skills he used just now were all amplification soul skills, but he shouldn't be this fast. Just how powerful is his body's speed? Although he thought highly of Wang Feng, Yu Yuanzhen felt that he had underestimated his opponent's strength. And this wound, Yu Yuanzhen felt an intense pain in his mind. It came from the wound Wang Feng had pierced. It was important to note that his blue lightning tyrant dragon martial soul contained a portion of the lightning power in his body. It had a strong stimulating effect on his body. Most injuries couldn't cause him intense pain and wouldn't affect his performance in battle. But now, he felt a pain that seemed to come from the depths of his soul. Yu Yuanzhen was shocked. His huge dragon body suddenly released a violent lightning aura that blasted Wang Feng dozens of meters away. Then, Yu Yuanzhen's body flashed with lightning and he flew into the sky. In his martial soul true body form, his flying ability was very strong. He was also very agile in midair. The number 1 beast martial soul on the continent naturally had its own uniqueness. Wang Feng already knew that a beast martial soul of this level didn't have any weaknesses. He turned into a streak of blood-red light and charged towards Yu Yuanjun. Boom! At this moment, Yu Yuanjun whipped his pillar-like tail towards Wang Feng. The speed and strength of this tail were very tricky. At the same time, Yu Yuanjun's first and second soul rings lit up. Clearly, it was a special burst of power that had been added to the tail. The form of a martial soul true body and soul master's soul skills were more or less different. Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat. Almost at the same moment Yu Yuanjun made his move, he suddenly felt a premonition of danger. Subconsciously, Wang Feng's body naturally lay down and balanced himself in the air. That huge thunder dragon tail flashed past his face, and the sizzling thunder was directly weakened by the golden lightning around his body. However, that majestic force made Wang Feng feel a burst of shock. A titled Douluo's martial soul true body wasn't just for show. The strength of this move was probably enough to destroy a 70 or 80 meter tall mountain. End of chapter. Chapter 647. The cultivation of the front secret character really seems to be able to give me some warning of danger in battle. Combined with the Void Realm, it's perfect. Wang Feng wouldn't have been able to sense the front secret art's warning in a normal battle. However, after entering the Void Realm, his senses were 10 times stronger, and the front secret art's warning was fully displayed. Wang Feng didn't hesitate as he watched the dragon tail sweep past him. He turned his soul-slaying spear and stabbed the dragon tail to inflict a huge wound. Wang Feng dodged the dragon tail by a hair's breadth. The soul-slaying spear followed the dragon tail and left a long crack. Yu Yuanjun's expression changed. He didn't expect his opponent to be able to dodge at such a crucial moment. In his mind, his opponent should have blocked the tail so that he could launch other attacks. He didn't dodge directly. Instead, he used his attack to inflict damage on himself. Yu Yuanjun had a better understanding of Wang Feng's abilities. Although his abilities were greatly enhanced in the martial soul true body state, it was still very easy for his opponent to attack him because of his large size. Yu Yuanjun was a little displeased that he had been defeated in both confrontations. This kid is very strong. It's time to show him something, Yu Yuanjun thought to himself. Yu Yuanjun's 8th soul ring lit up as he thought of this. When the 8th soul ring lit up, Wang Feng suddenly felt that it was difficult to lock onto his opponent. Wang Feng had to lock onto his opponent with his spiritual power before he could hit him accurately. It was the same even if his opponent was huge. 8th soul skill, Thunderous Fury. Yu Yuanjun roared. Every scale on his body flickered and jumped. His martial soul true body suddenly shrunk to about 20 meters. It had shrunk by 3 times. However, Yu Yuanjun's aura had become even stronger. Wang Fengxin felt a chill in his heart. He was astonished when he felt Yu Yuanjun become stronger again. This was a very powerful and special soul skill. In the martial soul true body state, the changes were even more shocking. Thunderous Fury condenses the power of the martial soul true body and gathers it on the surface of the body. All attributes are increased by 300%. At the same time, the scales can block spiritual senses and remove any spiritual lock. It's difficult to attack him. The sword Douluo said in a slow voice. Aside from his domain, this is his most powerful soul skill. In this state, any agility-type enemy who is faster than him will have a hard time attacking him. Naturally, all titled Douluo had some understanding of this. The two of them were of similar age and power, so the sword Douluo naturally knew a thing or two about them. Wang Feng felt that the current Yu Yuanjun was like a slippery catfish. Even with his powerful mind power, he couldn't lock onto him and attack him. In that case, he could only rely on his own physical fitness to attack. But now Yu Yuanjun's strength was no weaker than his after being enhanced. And even stronger. It was impossible to attack. Moreover, within the lightning domain, Not only did the power of each of Wang Feng's attacks decrease, but the energy consumption also increased tremendously. His soul skills, especially the void state, were extremely taxing on his body. However, without the emptiness realm, Wang Feng would have a hard time catching up to Yu Yuanzhen, let alone attacking him. Wang Feng's every attack was dodged by Yu Yuanzhen. However, Yu Yuanzhen's every attack, whether it was a claw attack, a tail sweep, or a coil, could not reach Wang Feng. Suddenly, the stalemate continued. In fact, Wang Feng's abilities had already gained Yu Yuanzhen's recognition. However, they had exchanged blows. As a rank 96 titled Douluo, he couldn't possibly lose to a junior. Furthermore, he was a junior who was over rank 60. Therefore, Yu Yuanzhen couldn't go easy on him. After another clash, Wang Feng was sent flying. If this continued, Wang Feng knew that he would be the one to lose. This was because his soul power was much lower than Yu Yuanzhen's. Even if Wang Feng used his Golden Lotus to raise his soul power to rank 70, he wouldn't be able to match a rank 96 Transcendent Douluo's soul power. For someone like Yu Yuanzhen, he naturally knew that his soul power would be greatly depleted if he maintained this state for a long time. Otherwise, how could Wang Feng exchange blows with him when he was only over rank 60? They didn't know that Wang Feng's special state was called the Emptiness Realm, but they could guess what it was. The stronger the state, the more terrifying the soul power required to unleash it. Right now, everyone could tell that the two of them were evenly matched. They were in a stalemate. I can't lock onto him with my spiritual power. I can't attack him. Then, how can I break this stalemate? Wang Feng's heart stirred, and he once again rushed towards Yu Yuanzhen. Seeing this, Yu Yuanzhen smiled. This kid is very strong. However, he's only over rank 60. He doesn't have enough soul power. However, Yu Yuanzhen was a little confused. Why didn't he use his other two soul skills? His 5th and 6th soul skills? He wasn't the only one who was curious. Everyone else was also curious. Wang Feng's soul power undulations were around rank 65. Why didn't he use his other two soul skills? Could it be that there was a special reason? This question lingered in everyone's minds until they were attracted by what happened next. Wang Feng charged towards Yu Yuanzhen. He swept across, but Yu Yuanzhen easily dodged it. Yu Yuanzhen used the momentum to sweep his tail at Wang Feng. However, Wang Feng didn't dodge this time. Instead, he used his chest to block it. Bang! He had already hidden his mysterious underworld armor to increase his strength. Therefore, it didn't reflect the attack. Furthermore, Yu Yuanzhen was too big. Even if it reflected the attack, it wouldn't hurt him. Wang Feng grunted. With the help of the thorny lotus, he felt his blood tremble. However, he didn't suffer any obvious injuries. However, at this moment, countless black lights appeared from Wang Feng's body and rushed towards Yu Yuanzhen's dragon tail. Seeing this, Yu Yuanzhen was stunned. In the blink of an eye, the black lights formed a long chain that wrapped around Yu Yuanzhen's martial soul true body. From afar, it looked like a bluish-purple dragon that was more than 20 meters long. Its body was wrapped in a web of chains. Red heaven sash, no, mysterious underworld spike. Wang Feng clenched his fist and shouted, "Bind it!" Suddenly, Yu Yuanzhen felt as if his entire body was being restrained. Even with Yu Yuanzhen's martial soul true body, he felt as if he was carrying a mountain, making it hard for him to move. Soul bone. Yu Yuanzhen's expression changed. However, he didn't panic. In the next moment, Wang Feng attacked Yu Yuanzhen with his spear again. This time, Yu Yuanzhen couldn't dodge. He was hit. End of chapter. Chapter 648. Yu Yuanzhen could have dodged the attack. Although the weight of the mysterious underworld spike greatly reduced his speed, Thunder's fury essentially made him immune to his opponent's spiritual lock. As long as his reaction was fast enough, he could have dodged the attack. Yu Yuanjin didn't sense Wang Feng's attack. It was locked on him, but he couldn't dodge it. He locked on to the soul bone with his spiritual power? Yu Yuanjin was stunned. He seemed to understand something. He used the soul bone attached to me to lock on to me and make it difficult for me to dodge. The spear pierced Yu Yuanjin's body. It caused countless scales on his body to be lifted up rapidly. Yes, Wang Feng used his spiritual power to lock on to the mysterious underworld spike, not Yu Yuanjin. It was like adding a tracker to Yu Yuanjin's body. That was why Wang Feng could attack him. He couldn't sense Yu Yuanjin with his spiritual power, but the mysterious underworld spike was his own soul bone. He could sense it clearly. Yu Yuanjin quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. This kid is smart, the sword Douluo praised. The sword Douluo praised with a smile. You were able to use such an unexpected method to break through Yu Laolong's thunderous fury. His spear is no ordinary weapon. The blue lightning tyrant dragon under Thunder's fury has amazing defense, but he still managed to break it. Of course Wang Feng is smart. Ning Rongrong giggled and looked at the sky. Her clear eyes seemed to reflect the scene of the battle between the two of them. The god-slaying spear was powerful. It couldn't ignore defense, but it could still injure Yu Yuanjin. The more damage he received, the more uncomfortable it would be. Yu Yuanjin was very uncomfortable now. But he was suppressed by a junior who wasn't injured at all. Yu Yuanjin's face turned red. He thought of what he said before, but he couldn't help but feel angry. I'm the sect leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant sect. I barely lost to White Popediff last time. How can I lose to a junior again? Where will I put my face? Yu Yuanjin knew that he couldn't admit defeat so easily. If the three sects joined forces, his Blue Lightning Tyrant sect would have to bow down. With that thought in mind, Yu Yuanjin's soul rings lit up and his thunderous fury disappeared. His body suddenly became more than 60 meters long and he instantly broke through Wang Feng's mysterious underworld spike. Wang Feng took back the Xianming spike and frowned. What was Yu Yuanjin trying to do? Lightning gathered in Yu Yuanjin's mouth and blasted a violent thunderbolt into the sky. In an instant the thunder shook the clouds. It was as if some kind of power was being drawn out from the sky. Countless dark clouds began to rise. Lightning flashed within the dark clouds. Wang Feng was shocked when he saw this. Yu Yuanjin wanted to use his own strength to trigger the power of the heavens and earth. What a guy! I learned this move after I fought against that White Popediff. Yu Yuanjin shouted, 7 Rings Fusion, Thunder Dragon Roar. Wang Feng, F***ck, you can still comprehend after fighting with me? Wang Feng was speechless. Looking at this move, he could roughly tell that Yu Yuanjin was trying to copy his god of wind and thunder, borrowing the power of heaven and earth to attack. Back then, Wang Feng had used the terrain of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon to attack with the wind and thunder of heaven and earth. He didn't expect Yu Yuanjin to use this opportunity to comprehend it. Several bolts of lightning struck from the sky and landed on Yu Yuanjin's body, causing his body to explode with lightning. Countless rays of light gathered in the mouth of the lightning dragon controlled by his true body. Wang Feng's expression turned serious. A move that borrowed the power of heaven and earth was naturally very powerful. It was a 7-ringed fusion skill. Yu Yuanjin had used a 6-ringed fusion skill before because he didn't use his martial soul true body. Now that he was using his martial soul true body, it was a 7-ringed fusion skill. Ice Flame Fury Lotus. Wang Feng's feet shook the void and he quickly flew into the sky. At the same time, he dispersed the soul-slaying spear and the red lotus in his hand bloomed. Yu Yuanjin couldn't interrupt this move. If he forced it, he would be struck by the lightning from the dark clouds. Therefore, he didn't have to force it. Instead, he used his second soul skill to take the attack head-on. With his current cultivation, the power of his second soul skill was extremely terrifying. The icicle red lotus bloomed in his hand. In everyone's eyes, Wang Feng seemed to have turned into the size of a grain of rice. A battle between titled Douluo, especially in the sky, was naturally very shocking. Boom! Yu Yuanjin let out a violent roar. The roar shook the clouds, and all the students of the Shrek Academy couldn't help but look into the sky. The momentum was too shocking. The terrifying lightning in the dragon's mouth formed a huge purple ball of light that blasted toward Wang Feng. At this moment, the ice flame fury lotus in Wang Feng's hand was also ready. Suddenly, Wang Fengxin moved. His leg bone flashed slightly, and a crystal-clear core that resembled a star appeared in the sky. Wang Feng threw the red lotus in his hand toward the core. Almost instantly, the core that emitted white light fused with the entire red lotus. The leg bone's second soul skill, Star Core. It increased the power of soul skills by 100%. After fusing with the core, the red lotus shone brightly and emitted a terrifying aura. Every lotus petal exuded destructive power. Boom! The moment the two collided, a mushroom cloud rose directly from the sky. Endless waves of air swept through the clouds, and it seemed to change the color of heaven and earth. Fortunately, they were in the sky. Otherwise, half of the Shrek Academy wouldn't have been able to survive this move alone. The countless trees and plants below were all swaying and sucking white from the pressure of the air. Scorching hot and ice-cold air blew at the spectators below. Being blown by such enormous air currents, as well as feeling slightly numb, caused them to subconsciously circulate their soul force in order to defend themselves. Looking at the flickering clouds and the purple lightning in the sky, it seemed like the end of the world. After a long time, it slowly dissipated. At the same time, two figures descended from the sky. The first to land was Wang Feng. He stumbled back 2 steps and barely managed to stabilize himself. His soul power was almost exhausted, but he still had energy left. On the other side, Yu Yuanjin was more miserable. His body was covered in snowflakes formed by various ice fragments, and his clothes were burned. His hair was upside down, and he looked like the burying love family that Wang Feng had seen in his previous life. There were many black wounds on his body, and he exuded a fierce aura. Everyone fell silent. The winner had been decided. Seeing this, Ning Fengji quickly used the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, and several rays of light fell on Yu Yuanjin. Yu Yuanjin's form recovered a little, but the wounds on his body couldn't be healed. What's going on? Ning Fengji was shocked. His 7 treasures glazed pagoda also had a good healing ability. How could it be useless? Let me do it. Wang Feng coughed a few times, and his voice was still clear. The golden lotus in his hand spun, and a golden light fell on Yu Yuanjin. The wounds caused by the god-slaying spear quickly recovered. Seeing this, Ning Fengji's eyes flashed. This battle could be said to be very exciting. It also let him truly see the strength of the man his daughter loved. Compared to that day in the pontiff's palace, he saw it more clearly. From the beginning, when Wang Feng revealed his 100,000-year soul ring to the later part of the battle, he gave Ning Fengji a great shock. Especially at the end. P.S. There are 4 more updates. End of this chapter. Chapter 649. This battle also made Wang Feng feel a little emotional. The combination of the front secret art and the spatial realm allowed him to predict his opponent's move. Although he couldn't predict his opponent's moves, he was close. As a result, Wang Feng was able to evade the titled Douluo's attacks, especially those that were very tricky to deal with. The transformation of his martial soul true body also gave Wang Feng a deeper understanding of the power of a titled Dalu. Unlike the Phantom Douluo, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon True Body this time made Wang Feng look forward to his martial soul true body even more. After all, the Phantom Douluo's martial soul true body was too strange. It could be said that it was completely countered by the karmic fire. In terms of true power, A top-tier martial soul true body, like the blue lightning tyrant dragon, was more powerful. "Father, how are you?" Grandmaster Gu asked as he and Lu Erlong walked over. Yu Yuanjin waved a hand. "I'm fine. I accept my loss wholeheartedly. Tang Wulin is a man of his word. I, the blue lightning tyrant dragon, will support the Tang sect." A smile appeared on Tang San's face upon hearing this. With Brother Feng as his backer, he indeed had a chance to gain the support of these two sects. "This child is very impressive." Yu Yuanjin looked at Wang Feng and praised, "With his talent and age, I really don't know how strong he'll be when he becomes a titled Doulu." In the last attack, Wang Feng's Ice Flame Fury Lotus was actually not as powerful as Yu Yuanjin's 7-ring fusion skill that borrowed the power of heaven and earth. The one who was injured should be Wang Feng. Fortunately, the star core in his leg bone could increase the power of the attack by 100%, so he was able to gain the upper hand. Elder Yu's injury is a little special. Wang Feng glanced at Ning Fengji and explained, "I can only use my golden lotus to completely heal him. Apart from that, I can only seal his injury. It can't completely heal him." Ning Fengji nodded slightly and said, 5 years ago, you injured the two titled Douluos. Their powers have been greatly reduced because of this. No wonder." Wang Feng was actually quite interested in how Yu Yuanjin was able to use the power of heaven and earth to attack through his heaven and earth wind and lightning. He didn't think that his tour of the continent would cause so many changes. "What do you think, Uncle Ning?" Ma Hongjun looked at Ning Fengji and asked with a smile, "Now that even Elder Yu supports our Tang sect, what about Uncle Ning and the rest of you? They should also support it, right? Look at Rongrong." Speaking up to hear, Ma Hongjun paused and chuckled without saying anything. "You want the 7 treasure glazed tile sect to support the Tang sect? No problem." Ning Fengji also laughed. "It's very simple. I'll give you 2 choices. 1. You have to defeat both Uncle Jian and Uncle Gu at the same time. Secondly, you just need to settle the matter with Rongrong. How is it? Isn't it easy to choose? Which one do you choose?" After that, everyone fell silent. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Ning Rongrong blushed and said angrily, "How can you link me to this matter? This has nothing to do with me. I don't agree." Wang Feng. Ning Fengji had simply given him a death sentence. Defeat Sword Fighter O and the Bone Douluo at the same time? It would only be possible if Wang Feng went all out. Otherwise, it would have been impossible with the strength he had just displayed. The Sword Douluo and the Bone Douluo were extraordinarily powerful when they joined forces. What was there to play with? Ning Fengji obviously wanted him to choose the second option. Simply put, the first option was Hell mode, while the second option was Easy mode. Since he wanted to show off, I choose the first option. Wang Feng said righteously, "Uncle Ning, what Rongrong said is right. How can you link these 2 things together? What do you take Rongrong for? Are you using her as a bargaining chip? I, Wang Feng, am not such a person. I firmly disagree." Everyone. However, when Ning Rongrong heard this, she opened her mouth and wanted to tell Wang Feng why didn't he choose the second option? But when she heard the latter part, she was a little touched. Ning Fengji's face also stiffened. He originally thought that he could use this matter to tie Wang Feng to his daughter. He didn't expect this kid's eloquence to be so good. Ning Fengji looked at this kid in annoyance and thought to himself, "This kid is quite ambitious. He probably wants to hug her left and right?" Ning Fengji looked at his daughter who was already bewitched and sighed in his heart. Forget it, forget it. Let them be. This kid is good to Rongrong. I don't think you can find another man who is as good to Rongrong as him. With his experience, he could naturally tell that the girl who had been silent and only had eyes for Wang Feng was like Rongrong. She had placed her heart on this kid. This made Ning Fengji sigh. It was a waste of youth if one wasn't romantic. Then you should rest well for a few days. The Sword Douluo smiled faintly and said, Old Bone and I won't go easy on you. You didn't want to take the easy way out, but you wanted to take the easy way out." The Bone Douluo next to him also laughed with a hoarse voice. Tang San thought to himself, Brother Feng probably wants to use his strength to make the 7 treasure glaze tile sect support the Tang sect, right? Otherwise, relying on his relationship with Ning Rongrong to make Ning Fengji support him is unbearable for a man. He's just living off a woman. Wang Feng actually wanted to live off a woman, but he didn't want to be the first one because he wasn't confident that he could defeat the sword Douluo with his current strength. But after thinking about it, he felt a faint gaze staring at him. After the battle, the group discussed the details. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing would definitely support the Tang sect. Furthermore, Dai Mubai wasn't interested in the throne. However, the two of them still needed to go back and explain things before they could solve the problem. Therefore, they decided to go back to the Star Luo Empire first. As for the masters and the other teachers, because they were still in the Shrek Academy, they wouldn't join for the time being. However, nurturing their disciples was also a way to deal with the martial spirit hall. As long as they had the intention, it would be fine. Although Ning Fengji didn't fully support the Tang sect, because of Ning Rongrong, he already had the same thought in his heart. After the discussion, Yu Yuanjun and Ning Fengji left first. "Little madman, I actually came here today for something else," Dugu Bo suddenly said. "After Xueqinghe found out that you were still here, he wanted to pay a visit and asked me to scout ahead. You should be mentally prepared. I've already repaid the favor to the imperial family, so I wanted to tell you that if the Tang sect can obtain the support of the imperial family, it will be greatly beneficial. Also, little monster, I know that you want to invite me to join the Tang sect." Dugu Bo smiled and looked at Tang San. "Actually, I don't have much to say. Anything is fine. Furthermore, my daughter is already engaged to Yu Tianheng. Yu Yuanjun and I are from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, so we can be considered to have some feelings for each other. Since the Blue Lightning Overlord sect supports you, I naturally have nothing to say." Hearing this, Tang San was stunned at first, but then a smile appeared on his face. Dugu Yan's poison was cured long ago. Yu Tianheng and Dugu Yan had always been a couple. He didn't expect them to be engaged. Dugu Bo finished speaking and left. End of chapter. Chapter 650. Tang San pondered for a moment and said to Wang Feng, "Brother Feng, there are only a few of us in the Tang sect now. I want to rope in a few more sections." "What sects?" Wang Feng asked. "Do you still remember Tai Tan?" Tang San thought for a moment and said, "He was my father's former follower. His Strength clan also followed the Clear Sky sect. I want to rope them in first." Wang Feng was stunned. Only then did he remember that the Clear Sky sect seemed to have several sects following them in the original work. Wang Feng could still remember the plot of the Titan very clearly. In addition to the Strength clan, there were also the Agility clan, the Defense clan, and the Destruction clan. Wang Feng remembered that Ma Hongjuan's partner in the original work was from the Agility clan. "Okay, you have to do this yourself," Wang Feng said. "These 4 clans are related to your father and the Clear Sky sect. You have to rope them in yourself. As the Grand Elder, I don't care about these things." Wang Feng was not interested in these 4 clans. In comparison, the 4 lower sects were each stronger than the other. Even the Medicine Spirit sect, which had the fewest members, had hundreds of soul masters, all of whom were healing-type soul masters. The strongest was the Battle Luo sect. Although it was not as strong as the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, it was not too far off. The Chi Cauldron sect was also very strong. The Elephant Armor sect, which was known to have the best defense, was also very strong. However, these 4 clans now thought that he was dead. He would find an opportunity to go and take a look. Of course. Tang San nodded heavily. The two of them discussed about the Tang sect for a while. With Wang Feng's previous theory, Tang San seemed to be quite interested in unifying the continent. However, he was not that kind of person. He just agreed with Wang Feng's words. This made Wang Feng feel gratified. By the way, Brother Feng, why didn't you use your 5th and 6th soul skills just now? Tang San suddenly asked at this moment. There are restrictions. Wang Feng explained. To be precise, the soul skills are not stable yet. Those 2 forms have not been completely revealed yet. They are more special. I may need to cultivate to a higher level before they can be revealed. At least before rank 70, I may not be able to use them. Wang Feng was talking about the 5 element flags. The remaining 2 flags would only fully appear at rank 69, and soul skills would only appear then. I see. Tang San nodded. Big Brother Feng's martial soul had always been special. With this kind of special situation, even the teacher couldn't do anything. After the discussion, Tang San left. He needed to make some preparations to find out more about the clan of strength. Wang Feng did not intend to accompany Tang San to do this. His mistress wanted to establish the Tang sect. If she did not even have the ability to do this, then she might as well disband it. As the first elder, Wang Feng had to deal with a titled Doulu. Everything else had to be put aside. Wang Feng wasn't interested. Moreover, letting Tang San subdue these 4 clans would also increase his own prestige. Wang Feng, you didn't choose the first one because you don't want to tell Dad about me, right? After they left, Ning Rongrong stared at Wang Feng. Although what you said at the time was very nice and I was very touched. But I'm not stupid. Ning Rongrong was indeed not stupid. She was very touched when she heard what Wang Feng said. But after thinking about it, she realized that Wang Feng did not want to establish a relationship with her. That was why he said that. Ning Rongrong stared at Wang Feng, as if waiting for his answer. Then which one do you want me to choose? Wang Feng asked. Ning Rongrong was stunned by Wang Feng's question. After thinking for a long time, she said, First. The first one, because what you said is also right. I'm not the link between the 2 of you. Then isn't that enough? Good girl, go back. Wang Feng suddenly looked into Ning Rongrong's eyes and stroked Ning Rongrong's hair. And okay. Ning Rongrong was shocked by Wang Feng's gaze. She blushed and left obediently. Halfway through, she realized that Wang Feng had disappeared when she turned around. Ning Rongrong. She stomped her feet and left in a huff. After leaving, Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. As expected, my eyes are very charming. I didn't waste my time refining them with the red lotus karmic fire. Rongrong, why are you so impatient? Wang Feng shook his head. Are you that greedy for my body? Really? Without thinking much, Wang Feng thought about what he should do with the remaining time. Qian Rinxue was going to be the next emperor of the Heaven Dou Empire. It seemed that it would be difficult to change the situation. This meant that the Martial Spirit Palace's power was going to expand. How could he stop it? Expose her directly? That was unlikely. Wang Feng had interacted with her before. This girl was special and very smart. It was unlikely that she would be exposed so easily. If he couldn't expose her, what could he do? Bibidon asked him to come to Heaven Dou City and secretly help Qianrenshu. Could there be another meaning? Wang Feng's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He thought of a possibility. Qianrenshu was on the side of the Elder Palace and the Thousand Dao sect. Could it be that Bibidon wanted him to instigate Qianrenshu to become a member of the Pope's palace? One had to know that Qianrenshu hated Bibidon more than he loved her. Wang Feng knew this from the original novel because these 2 characters were very popular. Although Wang Feng didn't read the later parts of the story, he was quite interested in these 2 characters. So he looked up their encyclopedias and found out that there was such an unbearable past. Could it be that she wants me to kidnap her daughter, and then completely obey her? Wang Fengxin couldn't help but think. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Even if Qian Rinxue controlled the Heaven Dou Empire, he would definitely not listen to Bibidon. If the Thousand Dao sect asked Qian Rinxue to do something else, Qian Rinxue would definitely follow the Thousand Dao sect. And Bibidon was very afraid of the Thousand Dao sect. Thinking of this, Wang Feng finally came to a realization. Bibidon's real purpose of sending him to the Heaven Dou Empire to assist Qian Rinxue was actually this. This Bibidon is really scheming against her own daughter. Wang Feng couldn't help but shake his head. No wonder Qian Rinxue was sent as a spy at such a young age. How pitiful. Wang Feng also thought of something else. Xue Qinghe knew that Wang Feng knew her identity, because when the Thousand Dao sect was chasing him, she appeared in female clothes and saved him once. And she said in front of him that she wanted to repay him for saving her life. That would obviously expose her identity. Although she deliberately appeared with her distorted face, it was still easy for him to think of this. Qian Rinxue had also seen through his identity as Feng Yuxiu in the Great Star Dou Forest. Thinking of this, Wang Feng frowned slightly. A few days later, as expected, Xue Qinghe came to visit with great sincerity. After not seeing him for some time, Xue Qinghe was still graceful and extraordinarily handsome. Beside her was Si Rong. End of chapter. Chapter 651. Over the past 5 years, Si Rong had grown from rank 40 to rank 60. She was over 30 years old now. Wang Feng calculated. Qian Rinxue was almost 30 years old, however. Her disguise was very good. Even Wang Feng's senses did not detect it. No wonder those titled Douluo did not notice it. It should be a soul bone skill. It's not an ordinary soul bone. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. The two of them were in a forest in the Shrek Academy. Si Rong, you can leave now. Qian Rinxue waved his hand and said plainly. Si Rong was slightly stunned. She looked at the two of them and nodded slightly. She guarded the path in the forest to prevent others from coming. After that, Qian Rinxue raised a faint soul power barrier and enveloped the two of them to prevent others from eavesdropping. Wang Feng, long time no see. Qian Rinxue did not smile much. He was not like this outside. As the crown prince, Xue Qinghe had to maintain a gentle and elegant appearance at all times. He always had a smile on his face. Why didn't you tell them my identity? Qian Rinxue's tone was slightly arrogant. You said that I was from the Martial Spirit Hall. You said that the Crown Prince of the Heaven Dou Empire was from the Martial Spirit Hall? You should know my secret, right? 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I thought you were really dead. Would anyone believe me if I told them? Wang Feng smiled and said, on the other hand, wouldn't I expose myself if I told them? Although Wang Feng already knew Qian Rinxue's identity, who would believe him if he told them? Even he could not sense Qian Rinxue's disguise. Even a titled Douluo could not sense it. As long as she did not give herself away, if Wang Feng directly said that Xue Qinghe was Qian Rinxue in disguise, he would probably be caught by the Martial Spirit Hall on the spot. At that time, the fact that she was not dead would be exposed. Hearing this, Qian Rinxue's face curved into a half-smile. Indeed, if you were exposed, I would know that you were alive immediately. If she knew that you were still alive, you wouldn't have been able to ruin her plan. The she that Qian Rinxue mentioned was, of course, Bibidon. That's why you've been hiding and giving the Martial Spirit Palace a fatal blow, ruining 2 operations in a row. Qian Rinxue sneered. Wang Feng, I don't know if I should call you Feng Yuxiu or Jui Kai. You can call me Slayer Lord, Wang Feng said. Qian Rinxue was stunned. It was as if he had returned to 5 years ago when he was being hunted down by his grandfather. When he caught up, he also said the same thing. The sounds entered his ears, as if they were still vivid in his mind. Humph! Qian Rinxue sneered. Wang Feng, I know you're very strong now, but you don't seem to be afraid of me at all? Aren't you afraid that I'll ask my grandfather to arrest you? 5 years ago, your grandfather was still able to catch me. He can't catch me now, Wang Feng said. His tone was calm, but it was filled with extreme confidence. Qian Renxue was silent. Your Highness, I have a grudge against you, Wang Feng said slowly. You must have something important to tell me, right? I won't reveal your identity. To be precise, it was useless. Qian Renxue was now trusted by everyone in the Heaven Dou Empire. Even if she showed real evidence, no one would think that she was from the Martial Spirit Palace. However, Qian Renxue frowned. You have a grudge against her. As if deliberately emphasizing, Qian Renxue's tone was very heavy. Oh? Could it be that you're not of one mind with your Pope? Wang Feng pretended not to know the relationship between Qian Renxue and Bibidon. Qian Renxue was silent and said slowly, Wang Feng, I know about your matter. If I ask you to help me, would you be willing? Do you think it's possible? Wang Feng was surprised. Why not? Qian Renxue said lightly. I said, you have a grudge against her, it has nothing to do with me. Let me ask you, do you have a grudge against me? Wang Feng thought for a while and said, I don't think so. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for letting me live. That was the truth. He didn't have a grudge against Qian Renxue. In fact, he owed him a favor. He only saved Qian Renxue twice, and Qian Renxue helped him twice. A favor for saving my life is just a favor for a favor. Qian Renxue waved his hand and said casually, So, you and I have no grudge against each other. Why can't you help me? Wang Feng was silent. He thought to himself, although the mother and son have different personalities, they are really like the female lead of a generation. Help you fight against the Pope? Wang Feng said with a smile. No. Qian Renxue took a deep breath and said, Help me get out of this situation. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment. What does that mean? I don't want to be the crown prince anymore. Qian Renxue said coldly. I've been hiding in the palace for almost 20 years. I've had enough. A few days ago, that white-robed Pope Diff humiliated the imperial family in front of me. I thought the Snowy Night Emperor would treat me coldly. I punished myself by locking myself up so they'd treat me coldly. But I didn't expect the ministers and even the Snowy Night Emperor to be so eager to pass the throne to me. Wang Feng. For the past 20 years. Qian Renxue's face turned cold. I've done nothing special. I've followed the plan she gave me, but there are some things I really can't stand. Those vermin from Heaven Dou Imperial Academy, a bunch of trash. I've had enough. I really couldn't stand it a few years ago, especially during the preliminaries. Heaven Dou's second team was defeated by Shrek's 7 monsters in less than 10 seconds. 4 years ago, I got rid of all those people. And those princes. Many years ago, I wanted to use this opportunity to escape. That second prince was a very smart person. I wanted to secretly reveal my identity to him. But do you know what happened? The next day, he died. And so did the third prince. Qian Renxue said mockingly. After that, I didn't want to reveal my identity to the other princes. That Avalanche was a decent person. I wanted to find a chance to reveal my identity to him, but after thinking about it, I didn't want to kill him. I know she did all this. I was trapped here until my grandfather convinced me. I had no choice but to stay here for 20 years. The more Qian Renxue said, the more Wang Feng was stunned. Wang Feng was even more confused. Wait, you're different from the Qian Renxue I imagined. I wanted to rope in Tang San. Qian Renxue's face revealed a trace of helplessness. Then I'll wait for an opportunity to let him expose me. Then I'll be able to escape unscathed and not be controlled by him. End of chapter. Chapter 652. Originally, her soul-hunting mission was a very good opportunity. If he succeeded, she would be more anxious and want me to kill the Snowy Night Emperor as soon as possible to inherit the throne. This way, I can reveal some flaws and let others find out. But she failed. She chose to stay in the dark. She didn't even care about my progress in the Heaven Do Empire. At this point, Qian Rinxue had a strange look on his face. I don't know what's going on. She didn't even send a titled Douluo to me. This doesn't give anyone a chance to suspect anything. Wang Feng. A gust of wind blew over, making Wang Feng a little confused. Was this the Xueqinghe that Dugu Bo had mentioned, the one with great talent and bold vision? So, everything she did was to escape from this identity? Then why didn't you go directly to the Snowy Night Emperor? Wang Feng swallowed and said, directly remove your disguise, wouldn't the Snowy Night Emperor see through you? I'm not that stupid. If I did that, I wouldn't be able to walk out of the palace alive. Qian Rinxue snorted. Although I didn't kill his two sons personally, they were both related to me. If I showed up and said that I was from the Martial Spirit Hall, he would have the palace's soul masters catch me and kill me on the spot. Wang Feng nodded. That made sense. I wanted to perform worse so that the Snowy Night Emperor would look after his son, Avalanche. Qian Rinxue frowned. But this prince is a little afraid of death. He's afraid that he'll be better than me and be killed like his two brothers. So, he's been pretending to be stupid, and the Snowy Night Emperor doesn't like it. Wang Feng, Qian Rinxue could tell. I've already performed very mediocre. Qian Rinxue shook his head, but there's no other way. The Snowy Night Emperor has no other choice. So, he wants me to take over the throne. It should be in the next few days. After hearing Qian Rinxue's words, Wang Feng was stunned for a moment. It seemed that he had guessed wrong. This was the reason why Bibidon asked him to secretly help Qian Rinxue inherit the throne. This Qian Rinxue didn't want to inherit the throne at all. He only wanted to ruin his mother's plan. So, I want to ask you to help me, Qian Rinxue said. Because you're the only one who knows my true identity. Wang Feng was silent for a long time. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Logically speaking, this Qian Rinxue was very different from the original Qian Rinxue in Wang Feng's memory. In terms of personality, they were somewhat similar. They were both cold and arrogant. But her heart was completely different from her mother's. Even though he had come into contact with the young lady before, he had only felt that she was rather intelligent. However, he had never gotten to know her better. She was completely different from the other party. But after thinking about it, Wang Feng felt that there was no problem. Qian Rinxue was sent to the Heaven Do Empire's imperial palace at a young age to carry out this kind of plan for 20 years. She hated her mother and had no feelings for the Martial Spirit Hall. If it weren't for the fact that her grandfather treated her well, Qian Rinxue would have run away a long time ago. Who could tolerate such a thing? In addition, he had changed a lot of the plot. This led to the current situation. How do you want me to help you? What benefits do I get if I help you? Wang Feng shook his head. Well, to help Qian Rinxue, who was now trusted by the Heaven Do Imperial Palace, to expose his identity. Wang Feng felt strange no matter how he thought about it. But it seemed quite interesting. Benefits? Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng and frowned slightly. What benefits do you want? If you want to deal with her, I won't help you. Wang Fengxin thought, I don't need you to help me deal with Bibidon. Besides, sorry, I know your mother better than you do. How about this? Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, I have a request. If you succeed, you have to promise me one thing. Hearing this, Qian Rinxue was stunned. He looked at Wang Feng for a long time and slowly nodded. Okay, as long as you can help me get rid of this identity. As long as I can do it, I will definitely promise you. After saying that, Qian Rinxue's eyes flashed with a strange light. Okay. Wang Feng smiled and said, Tell me, what's your plan? I'm all ears. Qian Rinxue finally showed a smile on her face. The plan is actually very simple. Qian Rinxue's tone relaxed a little. I've roped in Dugu Bo. This poison Douluo has a relationship with Prince Xuexing. Prince Xuexing pretended to listen to me and even asked the poison Douluo to get close to me to investigate my background. I plan to poison the Snowy Night Emperor and let Douluo find out. When the Snowy Night Emperor can't take it anymore, Douluo will definitely go to Tang San. Based on my understanding of Tang San, he's also proficient in poison. How do you know? Wang Feng was surprised. 5 years ago, Douluo had a head full of green hair and a body full of poisonous gas. Even Prince Xuexing didn't want to stay by his side for long. Qian Rinxue sneered. But he's fine now? Don't you think it's strange? His martial soul is the Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor. I know this kind of martial soul. As one cultivates this kind of martial soul, the poison will become deeper and deeper. However, not only is the poison Douluo's poison cured, it's even stronger. He must have been cured. Who has the ability to do that? With his close relationship with Tang San, he dared to openly defy the Pope in the Pope's palace and stood up for Tang San. It's very likely that he was cured by Tang San or you. Also, the hidden weapons that Tang San sold from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, I learned from my teacher, Ning Fengji, that they all contain poison. Qian Rinxue's eyes flashed. This means that Tang San is proficient in poison. He's not inferior to Douluo. Wang Feng took a deep breath. This Qian Rinxue is a little smart. And Tang San has the token I gave him, so he can enter and leave the palace easily. He's also followed by many powerful people. He can also cure Xueyi. When Douluo brings Tang San to the palace, I'll show him a few flaws and let him find out. Qian Rinxue said, then my identity will definitely be exposed. When I can let them know that it's all because of them, it has nothing to do with me. If you expose your identity like this, aren't you afraid that the Pope will punish you? Wang Feng suddenly asked. You care about me? Qian Rinxue suddenly smiled and said indifferently, it doesn't matter. Why don't you tell the Pope after you finish the plan? You saw that her plan failed, so you want to finish it quickly. She won't have anything to say then, Wang Feng suggested. Qian Rinxue was stunned and nodded slightly. By the way, you haven't told me what I'm going to do? Wang Feng thought for a while and asked. It's very simple. She didn't send a titled Douluo over because she wanted me to not expose my identity and put myself in danger. She just secretly sent some soul masters from the Martial Spirit Palace to observe me. Qian Rinxue sneered. She's really ruthless. You just need to pretend to be someone to cover my retreat. What identity? Pope Diff in white. P.S. It's a new week, please vote. End of chapter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.